Election night here on Prince Edward Island. We are live in Charlottetown. Welcome to our viewers on CBC Television, to those of you streaming the broadcast tonight as well. I'm Louise Martin in Charlottetown. We are 30 minutes away from polls closing here on P.E.I. Before 7 o'clock tonight, we'll talk about the issues throughout this campaign, the advanced polls, and talk about some of the districts we are watching closely. You'll see we're counting down to the top of the hour on the bottom of your screen, so keep a close eye on that countdown clock tonight. First, though, I'll introduce you to the people taking part in our election night program this evening. And we begin with our reporters on location tonight. We are live in 4 locations. On the left of your screen, you will see the CBC's Brittany Spencer. She is with PC leader Dennis King in Hunter River. Wayne Thibodeau is in downtown Charlottetown with the Green Party tonight. Laura Meter is with the Liberals, and Jessica Doria Brown is at NDP headquarters, also in Charlottetown. And we begin with Brittany in Hunter River. So, Britt, what's happening where you're at? Anyone there yet?
Still a little quiet here, Louise, but we have had a few people start to trickle in. We're expecting a few more, but this really will be a smaller, more intimate viewing party. Nice and cozy here in the Harmony House pub. But the few people that have come through the doors have said they're feeling excited and confident, and they're really looking forward to being able to watch the results come in with the party leader, with Dennis King. He's expected to get here just after 7 o'clock, so just after those polls close. He's at home right now getting ready with his family. And I was speaking with a spokesperson for the party just to get a sense of how everybody's feeling heading into tonight. And they tell me that they're confident, they're excited, really looking forward to seeing those results come in, and that they're really proud of the campaign that they put forward over the last several weeks, that they really wanted to embark on an island-wide campaign, and they felt that they did that and that they did a good job of that. So I'll be here all night watching the results come in with you, and I'll bring you all I can from Harmony House here with Dennis King.
That's great. Thank you so much, Britt. We appreciate you being along with us tonight. Next up, let's head to Charlottetown. The Green Party headquarters for tonight is at the Trailside Music Hall. Wayne Thibodeau is there for us this evening. So, Wayne, tell us who is gathering now.
Well, hi, Louise. Well, you know what? The celebration's really already started here. There's about a dozen or so supporters have already come here tonight. The drinks are started to flow out at the bar here at the Trailside Music Hall. This is where the Green Party headquarters will be throughout the night tonight. Now, Peter Bevan-Baker will be watching the results from his headquarters. That's in Clyde River. He's going to be keeping a close eye on that District 17 race. That's New Haven Rocky Point, where he'll be facing off against Liberal leader Sharon Cameron. They'll be watching a couple other close races as well, of course, including a couple of incumbents, Michelle Beaton and Mermaid Stratford. Of course, we've got Steve Howard and Summerside South Drive, and Trish Altus and Tyne Valley Sherbrooke, all looking to get re-elected this evening. Now, Peter Bevan-Baker made history back in 2015 by becoming the first Green MLA to be elected to the P.E.I. legislature. 4 years later, he made history again in 2019 by becoming the official opposition leader. He'd like to make history again tonight by becoming the first Green government on Prince Edward Island. Of course, we'll all be watching those votes come in very closely over the next few hours to see if he's able to make that happen.
That's
Louise.
right, yeah, and you're right, watching 17 closely. Thanks so much, Wayne, appreciate that. Next, we're heading to Liberal Party headquarters for tonight. It's at Lone Oak Brewing in Charlottetown. That's where our Laura Meter is. So, Laura, set the scene for us tonight.
Hi, Louise. Yeah, it's still pretty quiet here right now. There are some party members here, and there is one candidate from District 9, Dylan Paul, is here as well, and we're expecting other candidates to trickle in slowly. A lot of people are deciding to watch from their headquarters at first, and then they'll come here to watch those results come in. I did speak with Liberal leader Sharon Cameron earlier today. She said she's feeling excited, she's feeling good. The party is hoping that Healthcare First campaign will pay off and that voters will choose those diverse candidates that the Liberal Party put forward. Now, there's really no knowing what will happen. You know, there's that nervous excitement in the air, and the Liberal Party is hoping they'll do better than last election. As we remember, Liberal leader Wade McLaughlin lost his seat and resigned shortly after, and the Liberal Party is hoping to increase their numbers, you know, get out of that third party status. So it's the waiting game now. Everyone's kind of waiting, they're nervous, seeing what will happen, and so I'll be here for you as those results start coming in and checking in and letting you know how it's going from here.
Awesome. Thanks very much, Laura. Appreciate it. Finally, back to downtown Charlottetown now. That's where Jessica Doria Brown is. She's at Timothy's Cafe with the New Democrats. Jess, anyone arriving yet?
Oh yes, Louise, people are really starting to come in now. They're getting something to drink, they're getting some snacks out. Everybody's settling in to start to watch these results come in. Now, we haven't yet seen NDP leader Michelle Neal. We're waiting for her. Of course, she'll be keeping an eye on her district, District 13, Charlottetown, Brighton. Also, everybody, I think, here is going to be keeping an eye on District 25, O'Leary and Verness. That's where Herb Dickinson is running. Now, he, of course, had a seat in the P.E.I. legislature between 97 and 2000. He lost that seat. He tried to get it back in 2019, but lost by 200 votes to Rob Henderson. So we'll see tonight whether he's able to reclaim that seat or whether it'll go to another party. But the candidates, there are still a lot of candidates watching here, and from what I'm hearing, a lot of excitement and a lot of hope in what could come tonight. They had a full slate of candidates this election, so they're really hopeful that they're going to see some more votes. They're going to see some results from that at the polls tonight.
Thank you very much. 23 minutes to go. Jess, we'll be checking in with you later. Thanks very much. So now let's talk about some of the issues throughout this campaign. We've heard from a lot of voters in the lead up to our debate in the 4 weeks since the election was called. And when we went out to ask people in Charlottetown what their most important issues are, some themes have definitely emerged. Have a listen.
I think for me, inflation comes to mind. For a lot of islanders, I think it's really hard for people to make ends meet. And affordable housing is definitely something as well that, does come up as an issue that I hear all the time, and it really affects everybody.
Housing. Particularly builders making proper houses. Also, healthcare. I think that's an important issue. And I think they should have more doctors that come from abroad that are totally certified.
I believe it should be housing right now. Seeing the people that are coming here and the people who live here, they both need place to live. And if there's no place to live, well, it's gonna crumble down like a cookie.
I'm hoping they will improve the health care for sure, especially when the waiting line at the outpatients, it's like a 6 to 8 hour wait, so hopefully they'll be able to fix something or do something about that.
Well, I know the healthcare system is a major mess for a lot of people, and it needs to be a lot of things need to change. Also, housing is a major struggle for a lot of people.
As far as like the income of new students, that we don't really have as much housing in town, so some of us are going to have to move to places like Cornwall, and yeah, it really sucks, to be honest.
Well, there you have it, healthcare and housing. Let's talk about those issues and how they might play into tonight's results. So with me at our main desk this evening, Paul McNeil, familiar face, a member of our CBC political panel and the publisher of the West Prince and Eastern Graphic newspapers, and Carrie Campbell, our political reporter for CBC. As I'm watching that countdown clock, I have to say it's like a countdown, for Christmas, kind of. So who's going to end up with coal in their stocking and who's going to be like rejoicing they got everything on their wish list? When you hear those issues from people on PEI, those are the main issues, right? That's what the parties have been focusing on this whole campaign.
That's what every Islander has been focused on for several years, to be quite honest with you. Healthcare, if you talk to candidates across the island, they uniformly say that is the issue, regardless of party, that is being raised by virtually every voter. What's interesting is that you also hear that Premier Dennis King isn't being saddled with blame for the current state of PEI's healthcare system, which, if you're the Tories tonight, is probably a pretty darn good thing. And that's the way that they hope Islanders vote.
Yeah. Carrie, what about you? You've been covering this election campaign since day one, and healthcare and housing, they are repeat themes, but there's other inflation.
Yeah. And they're all, can qualify as, it's a healthcare crisis, it's a housing crisis, could be a cost of living crisis. I don't think that's hyperbole. Maybe it doesn't seem like it should be the ideal situation for a sitting government to call an early election, but it's like Paul said, we're going to find out. It doesn't seem like Islanders are really putting a lot of this at the feet of the PCs when they called the election. even with issues like, the chair of Health P.E.I, Derek Key, who resigned and cited, basically government meddling in healthcare, it doesn't seem like that they have worn that. Everybody's talked, all the parties have talked about ideas to try to fix healthcare, but, I think what we might find in the end is a lot of those ideas kind of bleed together anyway. You remember medical homes in neighborhoods. It actually started, the Liberals were working on that under the Wade McLaughlin era. Then the Greens 4 years ago included that in their health platform in that election, and it's the Dennis King Tories now that have kind of made that one of their signature healthcare policies. So there could be kind of a mix of healthcare solutions that come out for whoever's going to try to address this.
I mean, they all agree that there needs a fix, there needs to be more housing, so at least the parties are agreeing on those two main key things. So thank you for being with us tonight. We'll be chatting all night long. We're going to take a short break. The polls on P.E.I are still open for another 18 minutes. Now, just remember, if you're in line and you're waiting to vote, and even if it goes past that 7 o'clock mark, if you're in the line, you will be able to vote. But keep an eye on that countdown clock. 18 minutes to go. Workers have been very busy today. The advanced polls leading up to today as well, more than 30% of Islanders have already voted, and we'll delve into that part of the story after the break. Welcome back. It's election night on P.E.I. We mentioned the advanced polls just before the break, so let's take a closer look at those numbers now. Kerry Campbell will be on the move tonight. 14 minutes to go, Kerry Campbell, 14 minutes. Let's talk more about Islanders who cast their ballots before today.
Yeah, there were 3 advanced polling days, and we got the number up here. How many people took advantage of that? Almost 37,000 Islanders voted in the advanced polls. That is almost a third of eligible voters in PEI. So that's a big number. In any other province, that would be a huge achievement. Here in PEI, it's actually a little bit of a step down from the last election, and it actually reverses a trend we had seen going back at least 4 elections now, where the advanced poll in each election got proportionally bigger and bigger, and therefore a more significant factor in terms of determining the result. So the advance was down a little bit in this election, and that already had us wondering, is turnout maybe going to be down? And we've been tracking, lots of people have been tracking turnout through the day. It looks like they maybe will be cracking around 70%. We'll get that number later, but that would be a bad result for PEI. That would be a historically bad turnout. So something to watch for as we get the results in later tonight, Louise.
All right. Thanks so much, Kerry. Appreciate that. I'm just getting a few notes here. Mail-in ballots will be counted with the advanced, hospital and mobile polls as well. Almost 1,000 mail-in ballots returned by the deadline. So we're keeping an eye on all these numbers as they're coming at us. 13 minutes to go. Let's do some more introductions for you. We have a terrific panel of guests with us tonight in our CBC lobby, and their moderator, none other than Mitch Cormier, host of Island Morning on CBC Radio. Mitch, so great to have you along with us tonight.
Well, and glad to be here tonight, Louise, along with our Insiders panel. Now, these are 3 folks who have knocked on doors. They've worked on campaigns. I'll introduce them to you really quickly. Darren Peters was a strategist in the Pat Binns governments. And if you remember those days when the Conservatives had a single voice in the legislature, the voice of Pat Mella, well, Darren was working for Miss Mella at the time. And for our next 2 panelists, I'm sure memories of election night 2015 are flooding back. The night that Jordan Brown delivered Charlottetown-Brighton for the Liberal Party. Not only that, also, of course, beat Rob Lance in that district, and that cost Rob Lance the leadership of the Progressive Conservative Party at the time. The president of the Green Party on that night was Anna Keenan. That was the night of Peter Bevan Baker's breakthrough, and that, of course, started the success of the Green Party that continues and hopefully will continue tonight. So to our panelists, what's the best case scenario for this evening, Anna?
Well, as much as I would love to see a Green government elected, the first Green government anywhere in Canada, I think the polling is indicating that that likely won't be the case. So I think we have to recognise 2019 was a history-making night for the Greens, first official opposition anywhere in the country or in the US for that matter. And tonight is all about holding that and maintaining official opposition status for the Greens.
Jordan, for the Liberal Party?
I think, Mitch, for the Liberal Party, tonight's already been a success, and I think a big thing is that the party's rebuilding since 2019, and Sharon Cameron deserves huge kudos for taking the party in leaps and bounds over the past 6 months or so. And we have a great slate of very diverse candidates that I think will be here into the future, and so regardless of what happens tonight, I think it's going to be a good night and a bright future for the Liberal Party.
Darren, what are you expecting from the Progressive Conservative Party?
Look, it's very clear that we're looking to broaden the base of support to all three counties in Prince Edward Island. We're looking to increase our seats in the Charlottetown, Summerside area, as well as develop an even stronger foothold in the West.
You're all experienced when it comes to politics on PEI. We're kind of into that rare period. You can't get any more voters out and you don't know any numbers. What's this like for you all?
This is one of the most difficult moments,
yeah.
So I'm feeling for all of those candidates who are out there across the island. I hope everyone's just sitting back and recognizing, I've done my best as a candidate and now it's in the hands of the voters, so take some breaths. It's a hard time.
What can you do to keep from climbing the walls, I think is the big question for a lot of politicians right now.
My old fallback was novenas, and it being Holy Week, I think I'll continue with that.
Well, we're going to find out very shortly how those numbers look, and we'll be back to our Insiders panel throughout the night tonight. Louise.
Thank you very much. The excitement is building, Mitch. 10 minutes to go before the polls close, and I can't imagine how the candidates are feeling because we're all pumped here at CBC PEI. Time for another break, quick break. As we do, we have a trip back into our CBC archives for you, though. We've been covering elections on PEI for many, many decades. Here's a trip down memory lane with the CBC's Nicola McLeod.
CBC has been covering elections for a long time.
Roll the tape. 1955. This tape doesn't even have audio. 1959. This tape is a little glitchy, but yes, they are voting at Charlottetown City Hall. Jumping ahead a bit now to 1979. Here you see the introduction of graphics.
PCs have elected 21.
Ooh. Ah. (1986).
History provides some precedents for what happened last night.
(1989), which is one of Taylor Swift's best albums, by the way. (1996), we are still in the pre-Confederation Bridge era.
The present government has permitted our island to be run by a small group in the back room.
Luckily, Y2K did not end the world, and this election went ahead in 2000.
And now the counting begins.
CBC Decision Desk is projecting a progressive conservative majority government for Prince Edward Island.
This unstoppable election went ahead in 2003 despite Hurricane Juan.
And knocked out power to about 2/3 of the island. Despite all of this, the polls opened on schedule at 9 a.m. Voting at times, if not elegant, somewhat quaint.
The Election Act of the province of Prince Edward Island, which I administer, does not give me any discretion.
The CBC Decision Desk is now ready to project that the Progressive Conservatives will form a majority government.
So, what will happen this year? Don't touch that dial.
Welcome back. Just a few minutes now to polls closing, and we're back with Paul and Carrie here at the desk for a moment. We want to chat about what happened on P.E.I. 4 years ago, what brought Dennis King to power, and how that may differ this time around. 3 minutes to go. Can anyone do a drum roll? I cannot roll my R's despite being a good Scottish lass, but anyway. So what is different from 4 years ago to tonight?
Well, 4 years ago, there was a visceral dislike of 12 years of Liberal government. And there was Peter Bevan Baker, who was the perfect foil for Wade McLaughlin, or Wade McLaughlin was the perfect foil for Peter Bevan Baker. But Islanders weren't ready to do what we would normally do, and that's give a majority government to the PC government when the Liberals were in bad form. So with 30% of the vote, we gave Greens 8 seats, and we gave the Tories 12. That's the difference. Tonight, Peter Bevan Baker hasn't been as effective with Dennis King as Premier, and this vote is, if it aligns as the stars look like they're going to align with a PC majority government, this will be a vote for Dennis King and the goodwill that he built up with Islanders, specifically during the COVID pandemic.
You know, someone said to me, first time elected might be a vote against someone else, but second time is a vote for you. Do you agree with that assessment, Carrie? Personalities are different this time around.
Oh, no, absolutely. And I think 4 years ago, you had an electorate that was clearly finished with having the Liberals in power, but hadn't yet settled on what they wanted to have as a replacement. A historic result. We had a minority government. That is the only time a minority government has sat within the P.E.I. legislature. And we had 3 different parties that were all represented within that. Now, I think what's different now is, I mean, we're going to see the circumstances are not the same. And what we've been looking at for a while now, sort of down the runway, is seeing kind of a potential runoff between the second and third parties, the Liberal and the Green parties. You know, is this a legislature that's going to have enough room to fit everybody back in again? Or is somebody going to get pushed out? That's going to be one of the big stories tonight if we see that happen.
And regardless of what happens, looking at District 17, one leader is not going to have a seat. We know one leader's going down.
And if you talk to the Tories, 2 leaders may be without a seat, potentially. I mean, that's one of the most captivating stories of the night.
Yeah, D17 is one lots of people have been talking about.
Well, and we could end up, because you know, the Liberal is running against the Green leader there, and the Conservatives hope that they can win that. We could end up tonight with Dennis King being the only party leader that gets a seat in the legislature. Of course, maybe Wade McLaughlin thought 4 years ago he would have that too. So I don't take anything for granted, but I don't think that's a long shot this time.
Well, if you're watching along on the clock, there are nearly 30 seconds left. We have more viewers joining us ahead at 7 o'clock from right across the country. The polls are about to close. It won't be long now before results start coming in. Our election night special begins in seconds. P.E.I. Votes 2023 on CBC. Weeks of campaigning, promises.
So today I'm committing to you.
Promises.
Islanders deserve a better deal.
And more promises.
The Green government would ease the burden.
Health care.
Islanders need access to primary care now.
Cost of living.
And anything else we can do to make life a little bit easier and better and affordable for you, that's what I want to do.
Housing.
We'll end the neglect in housing.
And the environment.
We will support innovation in renewable energy generation.
Questions of leadership and the future of this province.
There are no simple solutions here.
Voters have made their choices. Will they give Dennis King another 4 years in power? The counting has begun. The decision is now in the hands of Islanders. P.E.I. votes live tonight on CBC. This is election night on Prince Edward Island. Welcome to our viewers watching on CBC Television or streaming us live, and to those listening on CBC Radio as well. I'm Louise Martin. Glad to have you along. We are live in Charlottetown tonight, and we are expecting results to start coming in very shortly. For those watching on CBC Television, we want to explain what you will see at the bottom of your screen. It is the number of leading or elected candidates in each district for each party. You can also see the number of seats needed for a majority government. Here on P.E.I, that magic number is 14. You will also see how many districts are left to report. And through the night, results from each district will cycle through, so you'll be able to see your results in every part of the province about every 2 minutes or so. For listeners on radio, not to worry, we'll bring you those numbers as well tonight. I want to start by introducing our main guests on our main set tonight. Both familiar to the CBC audience, Paul McNeil is a member of the political panel on CBC Radio and on CBC Television and is the publisher of the West Prince and Eastern Graphic newspapers. And Carrie Campbell is our political reporter for CBC P.E.I. So, the polls have closed. Paul and Carrie, your opening thoughts on election 2023?
Well, this is an election for second and third place, primarily. I mean, every indicator we have is that Dennis King is ready to run up the numbers pretty good tonight, maybe significantly more than pretty good, with a majority government. And the question will be, in 2019, the Liberals got 6 seats with 29%, and the Greens got 8 seats with 30%. Are they able to hold the vote? And if they can't hold the vote, where does their vote go to? A lot of the Green votes 4 years ago were in opposition to the Liberal government then. And also people parked their vote with the Greens because they weren't ready to give Dennis King a majority government. So I think we're going to see whether the Green Party is a real entity for the long term on P.E.I. Or not.
Okay, Carrie, aside from the polls, campaigns matter.
Yeah.
So how did the parties do in this campaign?
Well, we'll see. I mean, so Dennis King and his PCs ran on kind of this platform. It was basically, they ran on their record, but it wasn't their record of achievement, sort of. It was kind of a record of endurance. You know, Dennis King's stump speech was all about, you know, all the various calamities that befell the island when, well, his government was in power, and I guess how they just managed to get us through all that. So, I mean, you had COVID, and you had, you know, 2 tropical storms, and you had potato wart, kind of the 4 horsemen of the apocalypse there. You know, the potato wart was pestilence, and the storms were destruction, and we had COVID for death and everything else. So that's kind of what the Dennis King government was running on. Meanwhile, we have a healthcare crisis underway. There's no question. There's a housing crisis underway. We have had the highest inflation in the country going on for 2 years now in the province that can least afford it. We have the lowest wages. Okay. So all these issues kind of setting the table. We'll see if the campaign really mattered in terms of trying to hold the King government accountable for those things.
We're getting some first results in already, as you can see on your screen, or if you're listening on radio, 2 leading for the Progressive Conservatives so far. Let's have a closer look at those districts. First, in District 11, these would be advanced polls, 1 out of 10 polls reporting there. So these are advanced poll numbers. Susie Dillon, the Progressive Conservative candidate in Charlottetown Belvedere, up a 571 vote lead right now. Against this would be advanced poll numbers. Hannah Bell was the Green Party MLA in that district. She did not reoffer. So what do you make of these early? It's very obviously very, very early on tonight.
That's a staggeringly successful advanced poll for the
machine
PC
was out.
party.
The PC machine was out.
Yeah, but that's machine plus. I mean, that's a huge number.
Yeah, what do you think, Carrie?
So there's 2 things you're looking at with the advance poll. First of all, figuring that the party with the best get out the vote machine is going to have a natural advantage here, and we're going to see their numbers higher. So you try to kind of gauge that in your mind. How much of an advantage did this party have just getting people to the polls? And then you look at kind of, well, what other swing do we see in that in terms of those numbers?
And where are they going to see? Sorry to interrupt you, Carrie. So where are they going to see those gains? And we're seeing that already tonight. Let's go to District 22. This incumbent there, Steve Howard. But right now in the lead is the PC candidate, Barb Ramsey. Once again, you know that they wanted seats in the urban areas, Summerside, Charlottetown in particular. They were out campaigning hard in those areas.
When the PCs were in opposition, they were a rural rump. When they were elected 4 years ago, they were a rural minority government. They've put a lot of resources into trying to win seats in Summerside and Charlottetown so they can say that they're an island-wide government. And if you have someone like Barb Ramsey, a city councillor, winning, she's certainly ahead significantly right now. That would be a seat in Summerside, right in the heartland, and you could almost pencil her in for cabinet right now.
Another Green district is turning turning blue early on today. So we have PC5 now leading. Lynn Lund is the incumbent in Summerside Wilmot, and right now Tyler DeRoche with a lead of 399 votes. Again, early on, but 5 on the board right now for the PCs. And we're going to take a quick look at District 13 as well. Charlottetown, Brighton. Again, this was a green district, so you can see the PCs are making inroads into green territory early on in this evening. Janice Harper is a green candidate there. That was Ola Hammerland. He did not reoffer. And District 26, we'll look at that. Alberton Bloomfield. So this is the incumbent, Ernie Hudson, Health Minister. He has a 304 vote lead. 1 of 10 polls reporting, so these would be advanced numbers, but he has a 300 vote lead early on in the night.
Well, this is an interesting riding because Ernie Hudson is the Minister of Health in Prince Edward Island, and the local hospital, Western Hospital, is the poster child for an inefficient healthcare system. Pat Murphy is the former MLA. He just went through a very significant health issue. He opted into the race late. That's not a huge number, a huge lead for the advance poll, but it certainly is a good sign for Ernie Hudson.
We do have one Liberal leading right now, and that is Hal Perry at Tignish Palmer Road, District 27. So Hal Perry leading in that district right now. Otherwise, it's 6 PC, 1 Liberal. And our Brittany Spencer is standing by live right now at PC headquarters and has a guest with her this evening. Hi, Britt.
Hello. Well, the scene has certainly changed here. The room filled up pretty quickly, and I'm here with the PC Party President, Sydney Gallant, to talk a little bit about how you're feeling tonight. So tell me a little bit about how the party's feeling with these first results coming in.
Yeah, I think the party's really excited. This has been months and years in the works of it, so countless hours put into it, volunteers. So I think we're just really excited and looking forward to seeing the rest of the results roll in tonight.
I'm already hearing a lot of cheers as these advanced poll numbers start coming in. Now, speaking to members of the party earlier, they said that they were proud to have run an island-wide campaign. Tell me a little bit about the strategy throughout the campaign over the last few weeks.
Yeah, so our strategy really was to have an island-wide campaign, and that was, Premier King traveled the island tip to tip, and we engaged volunteers and had great crowds at all events across the island. So really it was an island-wide campaign covering every ounce of the province.
All right, some more cheers from the crowd here. And Dennis King has just walked in the door, just made his way into the room. And we'll be bringing you more as we continue to talk to people in the room here. Thank you so much, Sydney Gallant, the party president here.
Yeah, thanks to Sydney, and yeah, I'm sure the PC leader is very happy at these early results. Anyway, 9 Progressive Conservatives, 1 Green, and that Green leading is Peter Bevan Baker in District 17. 1 Liberal on the board, and that is Hal Perry up in Tignish Palmer Road, District 27. We're also very happy to have our colleague from CBC Radio with us this evening. Mitch Cormier is moderating our Insider panel tonight. Mitch, some introductory thoughts as we begin tonight?
Well, certainly. Let's find out what our panelists are thinking. Our Insiders panelists, former strategist during the Pat Binns governments. And we also, of course, have Darren Peters, who was supporting at one time the lone voice in the legislature, which was Pat Mella for the PC party. What do you think so far when you look at the board?
Well, listen, when I look back to 30 years ago on March 29th, 1993, this is a pretty proud sight for me, and it's very indicative of the growth that we've seen under the premiership of Dennis King. When I look at the ground game, we were looking to make gains in the seats that we didn't hold, and thus far, when I see the advanced poll results, it is very evident that our ground game has been in full action. And we're seeing the fruits of their labor tonight.
Jordan Brown, the first piece in the Western Wall holding so far, and that's Hal Perry in Tignish Palmer Road.
Yeah, no shock there. It's early days, and I think we all knew based on the polling that there was going to be a bit of a lopsided look to tonight's broadcast, and we'll look to see how the night evolves from here, but certainly it's fitting the bill.
And let's talk a little bit, Anna Keenan, about the Green Party. And, you were president of the Green Party when Peter Bevan Baker had that breakthrough. Hard not to be distracted by that single riding where the leader's running tonight.
Yeah, I came in as president shortly after he was elected and so helped to grow the party in 2016-17. It is looking like Peter is holding his seat, at least at the advance poll. Of course, the advance polls do tend to favour the 2 legacy parties. The Green Party is still definitely building its ground game, and I think tonight's results are starting to show we have work to do on that. So I'm interested to see if seats switch to Green over the course of the night, but that might be optimistic.
Some very interested insiders here in the lobby of the CBC building on University Avenue in Charlottetown.
Thank you very much. I look forward to getting more information throughout the night from our insiders. We're going to go to Carrie Campbell now. Carrie, I feel like it's a blank canvas at the beginning of the night.
It kind of is.
Jigsaw puzzle.
There's some splashes of color here so far, but we still don't have results from, I think we're waiting for results from 16 different districts. So what we have so far, though, I mean, you can see the Tories here, including that they've made gains so far in Summerside as well as in Charlottetown. If you're the Green Party, here's your bright spot here. This is the key district you have to hold, and this is Peter Bevan-Baker, the leader, District 17. He's leading in the advance so far. And then for the Liberals, here you are. This is Hal Perry up here. Hal Perry has held this district either as a Liberal or a Conservative going back to 2007. So it looks like he's got a good start there. Let's have a look, though, at the change in the vote share for the parties, because this is where you're going to see what's happening with the Conservatives. Look at that. So far, in these advance polls, they have almost 60% of the popular vote. What we're looking for to be able to call for a majority government based on P.E.I.'s electoral history is something around 41%. So this advance for the Tories, that's how good it is so far. Again, we do not have half the districts yet, and we would never call anything until we had seen some of today's voting. So this is all just based on advance polls. You see the Greens and the Liberals basically tied at around 19%. They were about 10 points higher, roughly, in the final results we got 4 years ago. So that's where things are so far. Let's take a look at the seat change so far with the number of we have reporting so far. So the PCs have made gains in 4 districts, and so far that has all been at the expense of the Green Party, Louise.
All right, thank you very much. We're going to take a closer look at some early results now, beginning in District 27, Tignish Palmer Road. That is where the Liberal candidate, he is the incumbent in this district, Hal Perry, is in a lead of 286 votes. 1 out of 10, so again, this is early advance poll numbers. We've got 9 for the PC, 1 Green, 1 Liberal. Hal Perry leading in Tignish Palmer Road. Big community member, widely expected to win this district, but we'll watch because we're still early on yet. Let's go to district number 8 now for you and take a look at how things are shaping up in that district as we continue to watch the numbers. And you'll see the bar on your screen. You'll hear me say the numbers are fluctuating quite wildly tonight because some of the races will be too close to call, obviously, this early in the evening. Stanhope Marshfield, Blois Thompson with a very healthy lead of 804 votes. These are early results, obviously advanced polls. And then we'll move on to where I think we have a tie at this moment. Okay, yeah, this is very, very interesting. Okay, so this is District 17. So Donalda Docherty, the PC candidate, 644. Peter Bevan-Baker, 644. So a tie there between the Green Party leader and the incumbent, and the PC candidate, Sharon Cameron, is the Liberal leader. This is an interesting view that we're seeing right now and how tight this race could end up being tonight. Sharon Cameron deciding to run against the Green Party leader. So 2 leaders up against each other, really unheard of in an election. Taking a big gamble. What's going on here, Paul? Early, I know.
Well, it looks like the Green leader, Peter Bevan-Baker, had a strong advance poll. If you look at all the other PC write-ins, they've had dramatically amazing advance polls. So being tied is a good thing. If you're a Liberal and your leader is so far behind on the advance poll, that is not a good harbinger of success tonight. But this, Donalda Docherty, she's a PC candidate. She got in trouble for some questionable tweets, and Premier King came out and defended her without hesitation or reservation. Doesn't seem to have done her any damage, at least thus far in the night. But this is one to watch because obviously the Green Party want their leader in the House.
Let's have a closer look for you now at District 9. This is Charlottetown Hillsborough Park. The incumbent, Natalie Jameson, the PC incumbent, is in the lead by 664 votes. The Green candidate behind her and Dylan Paul, the Liberal candidate behind the Green candidate. So you can see they're holding on at this point in the night to this district, Charlottetown Hillsborough Park. PCs with 12, 1 Green, 1 Liberal. So we're going to move on to the next district now as we continue to track the numbers as they're flowing in. Kensington Malpeque, Matthew McKay, the PC incumbent, he had the biggest vote share last time in the last election, but he's in the lead right now by over 1,200 votes. Again, these would be advanced polls, really showing, I guess, that get out the vote from the PC campaign, Carrie.
Yeah, I'm just looking at that 1,200 vote lead because that's a solid win in island politics, and that's just on the advance so far. Of course, all the other polls could change that, right? That's why we don't call anything. But yeah, he was very popular the last time out, and there's nothing to suggest that that will have changed at all.
But the decision desk will not project unless they see more results from today. We won't project just on advanced polls. So even though it's a strong lead right now, we still have to wait for today's numbers to come in. Let's take a look at District 10 now. Charlottetown-Winslow. Zach Bell is the PC incumbent in this district. He has a lead of 786 votes. Again, these are our advanced poll numbers just showing how well the PC got out ahead to get people to vote early, Paul.
It really is an impressive sight to see how effective the PC ground game is tonight. Zach Bell, he won a by-election, good Charlottetown representative, but what we're seeing too is the collapse of in particular, I think, the Liberal vote in urban areas, but also the Green vote.
Yeah, and just one thing I know, before this election, we used to look for the Liberals to have the big advance poll, right? And if they didn't have a big lead in the advance, then you thought, okay, this is a district where they might be in trouble because they had the party apparatus to get people to the polls. The PCs have been in power for 4 years now, and clearly the machinery has changed hands in a way.
Okay, we're going to move on to district number 2, but you can see the PCs continue to make some gains, 14 leading. 1 Green on the board, 1 Liberal, and Stephen Myers is ahead in his district of Georgetown-Pownell. Stephen Myers is the PC incumbent there with a lead of 564 votes. And there's Dennis King, PC leader, watching the results unfold. This is at Harmony House in Hunter River. It's where he had his last election sort of headquarters celebration with family and friends. And someone sees him on TV. There he is. Yes, you're on television, Dennis King. There you go. And the cheers begin as they happily watch these early results coming out, clearly getting that advance poll out. PC's leading in 14 districts, the Greens leading in 1, Liberals leading in 1. So there's a very happy looking Dennis King with his family and friends there at Harmony House tonight. We'll get back to the headquarters there where they're celebrating tonight, but let's have a look at Borden-Kinkora. Jamie Fox is leading in that district. He is the PC incumbent, ahead by 276 votes. So not as big a lead as we are seeing in other districts so far.
It's not. McFarlane is a strong candidate. He ran previously. He's a lawyer. Jamie Fox is a Minister of Fisheries and Rural Development. But clearly, it's not that they didn't get it out. They clearly got the advance. They just didn't get it out as much as other PC candidates.
It's worth noting this is one of the districts where the Liberals don't have a candidate. So that could be something that could help the Green candidate in this case to try to challenge Jamie Fox.
The PC is continuing to make gains tonight. Let's have a look at District 12. Charlottetown Victoria Park. Now, it's a small lead at this moment by just 47 votes. This would be advanced. Carla Bernard, the Green Party candidate, is the incumbent here. But when we've talked about this before, Paul and Carrie, and for our viewers at home and on radio, the PC machine was out hard in this particular district, Charlottetown Victoria Park. They really want to knock out the Green and get their PC candidate.
If you're Carla Bernard, you may breathe a sigh of relief that you're that close after the advance poll, given the other ones. Tim Kaiser's a city police officer. The Premier has spent an inordinate amount of time in this District 12 and in another District 14 trying to get those candidates across the line because he desperately wants downtown city representation. But this one is going to go deeper into the night, it appears.
You think so? Okay, yeah, because it's a very narrow lead at this point. Wayne Thibodeau is standing by live tonight at Green Party headquarters, and he has a guest along tonight. So what's the mood there, Wayne?
Yeah, Louise. Well, we've seen a steady flow of people rolling in here. The place is almost packed. There's a number of candidates for the Green Party here as well. And I'm joined now with Katie Rankin. She's campaign co-chair for the Green Party. These numbers, 14, 1 and 1. Katie, what's your reaction?
I mean, it's early in the night. I think we have to see where it goes from here. Only 1 of 10 polls are reporting right now, so I'm just excited to see where we go from here.
We were all watching with a bit of gasp when we seen those District 17, New Haven, Rocky Point, where Green Party leader Peter Bevan-Baker is running. A tie there, at least the last numbers we saw. Your thoughts?
I mean, it's exciting. P.E.I. loves the drama. We will keep it up, but it's not over till it's over, right? So I think we just got to keep watching the polls come in. Yeah.
It's early, as you say, but tell me a little bit of how you think the campaign unfolded. Are you happy with where you are here tonight at this point in time?
You know, I am, Wayne. I'm super impressed with the campaign we ran. It was a very professional campaign. It was very focused on the concerns that we were hearing from Islanders. I mean, we focused on healthcare, of course. It's the #1 issue. But we also focused on other issues that we've been hearing from Islanders. Things like housing, things like shoreline development. You know, we are not a one-issue party. And so we really looked at it as, what are the things Islanders are telling us? What are the things they want from their government? And that's what we put forward.
Well, thank you very much for your time. We'll check back with you a little later. That's Katie Rankin. She is the campaign co-chair for the Green Party, and we'll check back in with her a little later tonight, Louise.
Appreciate that, Wayne. Thank you very much. Let's continue to check in with some of the districts now. District 4, Belfast-Murray River. Darlene Compton is the incumbent in this district, and she's in the lead right now with 333 votes. Again, just a reminder that PCs are leading in 14, the Greens in 1, and the Liberals in 1, but solid lead there, 333 votes. And we're going to move to District 5 as well, Mermaid Stratford. Now, this is interesting because very, very narrow lead for the PC candidate there, just 2 votes. So this could be an interesting race to watch tonight. Michelle Beaton is the Green Party candidate, and she is the incumbent in this district. Wow, this is a tight one so far. I know it's early, but it's a tight race.
Just like Carla Bernard, the Green MLA in District 12, Michelle Beaton is a very good constituency MLA, as well as being a very good performer in the provincial legislature. So even though there's a strong Tory candidate in Redmond running there, they haven't racked up the numbers in the advance poll to the same degree that they have in other ridings.
Yeah, I think if you're the Greens and you see one of your incumbents still within striking distance after the advance, I think you're pretty happy with that result. Again, it's that thing where you kind of filter the advance results, understanding that, I mean, the Greens have already told us tonight, right, that they just do not have the machine to get their vote out in advance polls. I understand we have so far counted 22,000 of the ballots from the advance polls. There were a total of, it was about 36,000, I think it was, right? So we're getting there.
We're getting there, yeah. And there's still a ways to go before we start seeing the rest of the numbers. And again, just a reminder that the decision desk will not make a call or a projection based on advanced polling numbers. We need to see more numbers from today. But I'd love to know what the insiders are thinking right now. So let's go to the lobby. Mitch Cormier standing by. And what is your panel saying, Mitch?
Well, let's pick up on Carrie's point about the advance poll, who gets out those advance votes and what impact they have. Anna Keenan, is this a good sign for the Green Party, given the closeness in some of these ridings?
I think the ridings where we're closest are the ridings where I would expect us to be closest based on the strength of those individual MLAs. But I think the Green Party does need to learn a lesson from this, which is that if we want to compete with the legacy parties, we need to increase our organizing machine. I do think the Green campaign has been very professional and focused on the issues. I think the policies, I am a Green, so of course I think the policies are the best policies. They're evidence-based. But politics is not only about policy, it's also about personality and relationships and community engagement.
Jordan?
Yeah, I think, look, you expect government to bring out the get out the vote machine, and they certainly have here, and I think we're seeing the results of that early, and it'll be interesting to see how things evolve over the course of the night. The numbers are shifting around here a little bit now, and I think we all expected that there was going to be a strong blue wave. It's just a question of how strong.
Darren Peters, you say it's looking good so far.
Listen, it's looking good so far, and when I look at these results early on, I'm reminded of a children's story written in the year of my birth, and it looks as if one or both parties in the opposition are going to have terrible, horrible, no good, very good, very bad days tonight, and it's just a matter of seeing more polls come in to see whether this trend that we have developed early on, which must really embolden Premier King as he's watching these results tonight, continue.
We'll head back into the studio with Louise. More thoughts from our insiders coming up soon.
That's great. Thanks very much for that. I love the book reference. Okay. PC's leading in 16 districts, 3 now for the Liberals, 1 for the Greens. So let's take a closer look at the districts where the Liberals are making some gains tonight. So District 14, Charlottetown West Royalty, Gord McNeely, the Liberal candidate, is the incumbent there. Narrow lead, though, 79 votes behind Christy McKay. Christy McKay and the PC machine, as we're calling it tonight, they were out in full force in that district. I believe Dennis King was out in that district campaigning with McKay more than any other district except for his own. Those clever words from Paul McNeil. So Gord McNeely leading in Charlottetown West Royalty. And we'll pop on over to District 25. Again, Liberal incumbent here, Robert Henderson. He has a lead of 113 votes right now. But look who's right behind him, Paul. Herb Dickinson.
Dr. Herb Dickinson, looking for a pension. He was first elected in 1996 for one term. Interestingly, a lot of the policies that he raised during that four-year term eventually became island policy. He ran in 1996 on a local hospital issue in O'Leary. That hospital has long since closed, but the Western Hospital in Alberton, just up the road, has struggled it's the poster child of rural healthcare demise, and he's promised not to close that hospital. He's trying to rekindle 1996.
And that will resonate with voters in that area for sure. So let's check in with NDP headquarters now. Our Jessica Doria Brown is there to gauge some of the reaction and has a guest with her as well. Hi, Jess.
Hi, Louise. I'm here with NDP campaign director Matt Wynett. We've been here keeping an eye on the results, waiting for anything to come in from 25. We've just seen some really early results. So how are you feeling now?
You know what? We pulled every effort that we could today in the advance, and I think it shows. I think that we've known that it's going to be a close race all the way through. And, we've knocked on doors to make sure we got our vote out today. And, I think we worked hard, but we've known all along that it's going to be close, and we'll see at the end of the day where we land.
What exactly would it mean for the party to get this win tonight in 25?
Yeah, I think, District 25, Herb's a fighter. He knows so many people in the district. And, I think that what it could say going forward is that New Democrats are a viable option. We saw that in the fact that we had 27 full slate of candidates. We were one of only two parties got that, and I think that allowed Islanders to kind of look at us differently. And I think we also saw a little bit of change in after the debate on Monday. Everywhere as we went, all of our candidates were telling us that we're voting for Michelle because she connected with Islanders, and she was able to drive that message home that we are going to be able to fight for Islanders, everyday people, because things could get worse, and they need someone who's going to stand up for them and fight for them, and that's New Democrats.
And we are still waiting to see what happens in Michelle's district.
Yeah, we are. And, again, we've knocked on so many doors. She's also a fighter. I mean, she comes from the labor movement, 30 years in the public service. She tells me this story yesterday about talking to people, and they were just coming up to her and saying, I voted for you. I voted NDP for the first time. So I think, one seat would be great. This is a building process going forward.
Right, and she is watching just up the street. We are going to hear from her later, no matter what happens. Thanks so much for your time.
No problem.
All right, thank you very much, Jess. I appreciate that. Let's check in with Carrie Campbell now, and at the jigsaw puzzle we talked about earlier, and it's filling out.
There's a lot more pieces in here now. We've only got a handful left to fill in, and a lot of the ones that we've added since the last time we looked are Tory blue. So here's District 25, though. This is O'Leary Inverness. This is the one the Liberals are holding, and the New Democrats are hoping to turn that into NDP orange. We'll see if we might get a switch in that or not. But let's have a look at the kind of the Tory vote change that is propelling all of this blue, painting it onto our map here. Here are the different regions of the province, and you can see the Conservative vote is up everywhere, up an astonishing 28% right now in the city of Summerside. That was one of the key areas that the Tories were hoping to get into. Also Charlottetown, they're up 22.5 points there. So overall, their support right now, 55.8% in the advanced polls that we've counted so far. Again, what we're looking at some point to expect a majority government would be well below that at 40.8%. So gains all across the board here. The place where the Tories haven't made much of a gain is in Eastern P.E.I, and that's because they were already so strong there. So good vote numbers here for the Tories in terms of growing their support all across the province.
I feel like I'm going to use a healthcare term now, recruitment and retention, so that they're gaining and they're maintaining previous candidates. Let's have a look at District 18. Rustico Emerald. Brad Trivers is the incumbent there, the PC candidate, and he has a solid lead, 644 votes right now behind in front of the Liberal candidate, Flory Sanderson. So Brad Trivers, the incumbent, up by 644 votes. This would be, again, still early on, advanced. There's 17 on the board now, leading for PCs. Let's take a peek at District 15. This is Dennis King's district. He is the incumbent, obviously, Brackley Hunter River, and he has a solid lead right now of 628 votes. Wouldn't be surprising to see Dennis King win his seat again this time.
It would be a shocker if it was even close with Dennis King tonight.
What do you think, Harry, as you're seeing these numbers and really a strong start for the PCs right out of the gate? 17 leading right now, 3 for the Liberals and 1 for the Green Party.
Yeah, no, this is obviously a great start for the PCs. I think this might be a little bit behind, but I was counting up, because we've called this a race for second place, I was counting up who was in second place in all the races we had so far. And it was 8 Greens in second place, followed by 6 Liberals, 2 NDP, and 3 PCs. Now, I had to do that manually, so maybe these numbers have changed a little bit, but I'll try to keep tabs on that for us.
Yeah, I mean, we still aren't getting the polls from today. These are advanced polling numbers. We did expect that the PCs would come out strong in those advanced poll numbers. Let's go to District 27, and that is where Hal Perry is holding on at this moment to his seat. He's at a lead of 384 votes. Hal Perry, big active member of the community. I mean, really, if a Liberal was going to hold on to a seat, it would be Hal Perry tonight.
Well, he's the guy who drives people home from New Year's Eve celebrations to make sure they get home safely. He's been in the legislature in 2011. As Kerry referenced, he's served both under the Conservative Party and the Liberal Party. People said that in a worst-case scenario, if the Tories were rolling across the whole province, Hal Perry would be the backstop, that he would be the only one left standing.
All right, let's have a look at District 17, the battle of the leaders, and it's still a tie right now. These are advanced poll numbers. The PC candidate tied with the Green Party leader, Peter Bevan-Baker, and the incumbent, Sharon Cameron, falling behind here. And this was, of course, Sharon Cameron is the Liberal leader taking on the Green Party leader. Lots of people question that sort of strategy. It's not paying off at this stage in the game. So let's maybe go to a Liberal headquarters now, where Laura Meter is standing by with a guest tonight. What's the mood in the room now? Looking at the numbers, 3 Liberals leading at this time of the night, but the Liberal leader not in her district.
Yeah, obviously, Louise, a bit of disappointment here. There were some cheers that went up as we saw the 3 Liberals who are leading. I'm here right now with the candidate from District 9, Dylan Paul. How do you react to what you're seeing?
Well, I'm a little disappointed, but at the same time, I'm truly grateful for the opportunity to be able to be part of this election. Just to get 1 vote in itself, I'm beyond grateful for that. And because of that, I'm going to look back at what I need to improve on and go forward.
And how do you react to seeing your leader in 3rd place right now?
Well, it's also very sad. Sharon Cameron is an amazing person, an amazing leader, someone that I respect. So anyone of your team member is losing, it really hurts a lot. But we're going to, regardless of the result, we're going to go back to the drawing board and get better going forward.
Yeah. And these are early days right now, and I know from speaking to the leader, Sharon Cameron, she said this was really a time for rebuilding. Do you feel that this has it been effective to rebuild the Liberal Party?
Absolutely. As I said, we're going to, regardless of the result, we're going to look back, we're going to do a postmortem, and we're going to go forward better and stronger. I think even myself, I've learned a lot on the, just knocking on doors. I've built relationships that will last forever. So I'm grateful. Like there wouldn't be any loss there. There'll always be a win for me. Even though if I don't become an MLA, I'm grateful, and we're going to be better going forward.
All right. So there you have it from Liberal headquarters right now.
Thank you very much, Laura Meter. And some breaking news for you now. The decision desk is ready to make a call tonight. And the CBC News Decision Desk is projecting a majority government for Dennis King and the Progressive Conservatives. This is a big win for Dennis King tonight and the PCs. He went into this election, you can see there they are cheering, and they should be. He called this election early, didn't wait for the fixed election date, banking on winning a majority government. He did not have to wait for 2 by-elections to get to that majority like last time. It was a minority PC government 4 years ago. Tonight, the CBC News Decision Desk, is projecting a PC majority government led by PC leader Dennis King. There you have the hugs going around. There's Dennis King probably feeling very good about the campaign that he put forth, and this is a big one for Dennis King tonight.
Well, this is a big one. This is Dennis King's election. I mean, 4 years ago, he was a new leader. He was probably a little bit surprised to win. He stepped into the office of Premier with sort of the weight of history on his shoulders. He met challenges that have never been experienced by any Premier in our island's history, and he succeeded. He survived, and Islanders bought into his sort of everyman way of looking at the world. And tonight, this is a vote for Dennis King.
4 more years, Kerry.
Yeah, and the PCs really geared their campaign around Dennis King as a personality. Clearly, that's paying off. You know, it's his image, his signature on all the materials, his face on the bus. I haven't asked him this, but I suspect the slogan, "With you, for you," that sounds like the Dennis King who was the communications director for former PC Premier Pat Binns probably came up with that. So he was at the heart of the campaign this time, and so that's what this victory means for them tonight.
Brittany Spencer is in the room, so let's check in with Brittany, because that must have been something when you saw that the majority government projection from our decision desk. Tell me about that, Brittany.
Oh, absolutely, Louise, and you can hear the energy is still going here in the room. This is the moment that everybody here at Harmony House was waiting for all night, and you know, it's pretty electric in here right now. A lot of hugging. Dennis King made his way around the room, hugging each one of his family and friends that have come here to support him, and all of them said this is what they were confident would happen tonight, and here it is. So a lot of celebration happening in the room. Lots of happy faces in here tonight.
All right, we'll check back in with you a little bit later, but yeah, so PC's leading in 19, Liberals in 3, the Green Party candidate in 1. So still waiting for today's numbers to come in, so we will see those numbers probably flip around a little bit, but the CBC News decision desk projecting a majority government for the Progressive Conservatives. Mitch Cormier standing by in the lobby now. So what do your insiders say about this one, Mitch? It's pretty early on tonight, too.
I can tell you that Darren Peters has spoken with Premier King a number of times throughout the day. What was the Premier saying? How was the Premier feeling?
Well, look, I mean, the Premier was quite humbled by the reception that he received across Prince Edward Island. He spent today with one of my very best friends, 2 best friends in a car together, and he did what he did in 2019. He made the pilgrimage back to Georgetown, and he had a visit not only with his dad this time, but with his mom. And I can only imagine how proud Lionel and Caddy King are tonight at their boy from Georgetown.
We still have a ways to go. So what should we be watching from here on out, Jordan?
Well, I think, again, we're still basically looking at the advanced poll results. And so, you would expect government to turn out a great advanced poll result. And it'll be interesting to see what, when the actual polls start to roll in, what they look like, and how the seat swing looks at the bottom of the screen there.
The Greens right now are second place in 10 different districts. Is that a positive sign, Anna?
I think that is a positive sign. If we look at District 17, 12 and 5, I think we're within just a handful of votes, and that handful of votes can and I think will change over the course of the night. And we haven't received results in from District 23, which is where Trish Altas has been an MLA, and she's been a very strong MLA. She's always at every community event, so I'm really looking forward to see how her district plays.
Initial thoughts on the call and the continuation of the Premier Dennis King government, Louise.
Thank you very much. And yes, we are starting to get in some today numbers as well. There's still 4 to come, 4 seats to come, but we are starting to see that. And so Kerry Campbell at the big board now.
Yeah. So there's not very many pieces we have left to fill in here. Here's that District 23, Tyne Valley, Sherbrooke. This is where the Greens think they have one of their best shots here to keep one of their seats. So they're waiting to see those results come up. But here's what we get when we look at the advanced poll so far. All this blue and a few bits of red and 1 piece of green so far. Let's have a look at the vote share which has kind of created this map for us. And look at that. That is, I mean, if that were to hold, that would be a historic result, certainly under three-party politics in PEI. 56% of the vote right now for the PCs. The Liberals and Greens are almost neck and neck right now at 19%. The Liberals just have that little edge there, 19.2 versus 19.1. And then the NDP sitting down at 4.4%. So the PCs, again, well into beyond blowing past that area we needed to be able to call majority government. But it's like Jordan Brown just said on the panel, this is still the advanced poll. So what happens now if you're the Liberals, the Greens, or the NDP? You see, this is your chance now as the regular Today polls start to come in to start chipping away at the lead that the PCs got with their big get out the vote machine in that advanced poll. We'll see if any of those numbers start changing once we get those Today results in, Louise.
We are starting to get some of those Today results, Carrie, but we're still waiting for results in districts 1, 16, 23, and 24 is what I'm being told. We do have some decision desk projections now for elected candidates. So let's take a closer look at that. No surprise, Kensington Malpeque, Matthew McKay, with a lead of over 1,300 votes there, projected elected tonight. He won by the most last time, 62% in the last election. District 9 now, another projected elected, and that is Natalie Jameson, the PC candidate there, the incumbent, with a lead of 683. So the CBC News Decision Desk projecting that Natalie Jameson is re-elected in Charlottetown-Hillsborough Park. District 2, another projection there, re-elected Stephen Myers, the incumbent, the PC incumbent, with 624 vote lead. So the projection is re-elected for Stephen Myers. No big surprises there that they have been re-elected. Let's have a look at District 3. Montague, Kilmuir, and Corey Deagle projected to be re-elected in that district with a lead of 959. So these were incumbents holding on to their seats, and so no big drama here or no big shockers.
All cabinet ministers as well.
That's right.
So that always helps. But, you know, Corey Deagle, second term, young member of the legislature, minister of transportation. He's responsive. People like him, and that's showing up in the numbers.
Yeah, PC is leading in 20 now. Liberals holding on to 3 and the Green 1.
And I got a little information, Louise. Apparently some of the delays are related to the fact that there were lineups at polling stations in some districts. I get excited when I hear that.
Lineups.
It sounds competitive there. So that's one of the reasons why we still have some blank spaces on that map.
All right, so yeah, we're waiting for those numbers to come in. As Carrie said, a few lineups, and if you're in the lineup, you can still vote, right? Like even if it closes at 7 o'clock. So let's have a look at District 23 now, and that is Tyne Valley Sherbrooke. Trish Altez in second place right now, but a very, very narrow lead for the PC candidate Hilton McClellan, just 9 votes. So this is shaping up to be a tight race at this point.
It's a rematch from 2019, and the end result 4 years ago was less than 100 votes.
Carrie?
I've been interested in this race just to see how, you know, Trish Altez being the incumbent, how that benefit weighs against Hilton McClellan having the advantage, the momentum behind the PCs because they were so close last time. Now, looking at this, I would say this is not an advanced poll here, which is also interesting. So we're not seeing kind of the get out the vote result here. We're seeing, you know, one of the polls in that district. So.
Yeah, we're going to go to another decision desk elected now, and that is Premier Dennis King, re-elected. That's a projection from the CBC News Decision Desk with a lead of 709 votes. I thought that might be a bit higher at this point, but look, more cheers. There is a PC headquarters again. So, you know, I mean, Dennis King, he's won back his seat, and he's led his team to a projected majority government. I mean, he must be feeling pretty good about now.
Well, he's establishing history tonight, right? He's putting himself in the same category as Pat Binns, his mentor, in terms of they're not quite at 26-1 yet, but they could be on track for that. And if you were to ever get that number, you know, Mr. Binns has been a mentor to Dennis for years, and that would be something that Dennis would think highly of.
So, Carrie, it's been, as you mentioned, we talked about a rough 4 years with a number of crises, right? The pandemic, potato wart, 2 major storms, lots of destruction after Fiona, rolling out aid and all those things. You know, and Dennis King has been saying all along, I just want a kind of a calm 4 years.
Yeah.
So what's it going to look like? What's this going to look like?
Well, I mean, first of all, I'm thinking about how we just declared, I think, for 4 incumbent cabinet ministers, so they keep their jobs, and
That's right.
they're going to be busy in those jobs. Matt McKay, the Minister of Housing, he goes back to work in the midst of a housing crisis. They've got their work set out for them. It'll be interesting to see if the approach changes. It definitely changed in terms of just the tenor of things and the way the legislature worked when it moved. It started 4 years ago as a minority government under Dennis King, and then he won a couple by-elections, got a slim majority, and whether that was the reason or not, the way the legislature operated changed, the way government functioned in that House changed. So we'll see what it might mean if they come back with an even stronger majority, as it looks like they will.
I mean, these aren't the final numbers. PC's leading in 20, Liberals are leading in 3 districts, and the Green Party is leading in 1. But it does certainly, if things hold in this pattern, or at least close to this pattern, Paul, it's a different dynamic in the legislature.
It absolutely is a different dynamic, and it'll be a different dynamic anyway, because if we can avoid another pandemic, if we can avoid another tropical storm, then government's going to be front and center dealing with the issue of healthcare. It's going to be front and center dealing with the issue of housing. It's going to be front and center dealing with the issue of mental health and addictions, and it's going to have to deliver results. Tonight, Dennis King and the PC government isn't getting any negative impact on the healthcare file, for instance, but 4 years from now, if we don't see improvement, they very well might.
Lots of pressure on those commitments, especially in healthcare and housing. Let's have a look at a couple of districts that we haven't had a chance to talk about this evening. First, we'll begin with District 6. This is Stratford-Keppoch. Now, this was a PC district. James Elward ran, but then didn't reoffer in this election. So Jill Burge is the PC candidate, and she is leading with 433. Dr. Lana Beth Barkhouse. Then there was some talk about the Greens running a doctor at a time where there aren't enough doctors on the island. Not sure if that is playing into this decision at all, but so far, Jill Burge, the PC candidate, in the lead there. Let's have a look at District 7, Morell-Donagh, and has been projected re-elected. Sidney McEwen, no big shocker there, with a lead of 862. Sidney McEwen, the CBC Decision Desk, projecting that he has been re-elected. Kerry, and we went through this last election because Sidney McEwen won his seat, but couldn't get into cabinet for a variety of reasons, but had to do with his lobster fleet.
And he would have been a shoo-in for cabinet back then, and probably would be now. But there is this rule where if you own a lobster license, a fishing license, a DFO rule, then you can't be a member of government. So that is what kept him out of government. I know the same conundrum was faced by Liberal Alan Campbell years ago. He made the other decision. He decided to give up his lobster fleet, his fishing fleet, and his gear. And I think he came to regret that afterwards. He only spent 1 term in office.
Elections P.E.I. says voting is complete on Prince Edward Island tonight, so all 27 districts voting is complete. Let's go back to PC headquarters. Brittany Spencer standing by now, I believe with Dennis King's sister, and I'm sure a very proud sister at that at this moment in time.
That's right, Louise. This is Dennis King's sister, Toby Murphy. So I'm just got to ask, how are you feeling right now?
We are so excited. This is such a great night for us. You know, Dennis has always said we're a really close-knit family, and we've worked really hard up to this point, knocking on doors, pounding the pavement, and we couldn't be prouder of him than tonight.
What's it been like to watch him as Premier over the last 4 years and campaigning over the last few weeks?
It's kind of surreal, to be honest. I mean, to me, he's still my big brother, but he's been working so hard, and we're just so proud of him, and it's just been amazing for us.
And now I was here in 2019, as I'm sure you were. Tell me how it feels. How different is tonight compared to then?
4 years just seemed to zip right past. I'm sure maybe not for him, but no, it's so amazing that he has just grown so much as a person and has been such a great leader for us, and it's just been amazing. It's been amazing.
Some more cheers there. So tell me, has the night gone how you expected it would?
Yeah, it has. We kind of have this little tradition in our family, but we've always been a big political family. So back when we were younger, we always did predictions. We always sat down and everybody kind of wrote their predictions on the back of the calendar. So we did that probably last week. And yeah, it's going pretty well. Going pretty well for me. Going pretty well.
All right. Well, thank you so much for your
Thank you,
time
Brittany. I
here.
really appreciate it.
We'll throw it back to you, Louise.
Thank you very much. 4 years has zipped by. I'm not sure. I can probably say confidently Dennis King does not feel like 4 years have zipped by, but leading and elected in 20 districts, leading and elected 3 Liberals and the Greens in 2. So let's have a closer look at those 2 Green districts right now. Carla Bernard in Charlottetown, Victoria Park. But look at that lead. That is tiny, 4 votes. So this is turning into be a little bit of a race here, a little tight race going on.
We're now seeing why the Premier spent so much time in districts 12 and 14, because they knew that these 2 ridings were going to be close. They want to get the PC candidate across the line, and they've got strong incumbent Green MLAs who also work the constituency incredibly well, and Carla Bernard is certainly one of those.
Well, who would like to hear what Carla Bernard is thinking right now? I know all of us. How about that? How about Wayne Thibodeau standing by with Carla Bernard? Wayne.
Well, Louise, you just missed the celebrations here when that board went up showing that Carla Bernard is, there you go, here at Trailside. Carla, how are you feeling? You're one of those number 2 on the Green board right now.
Well, I feel pretty good, Wayne. I felt pretty good going into this. I feel like I gave it everything I had during the campaign, and I couldn't have given it any more, so I feel pretty good.
Right, now overall, obviously looking at the numbers now, we're looking at 23 and 2 at this point in time. Did you think the party would be a little further ahead at this point in the night?
It's really hard to say with advanced polls. I didn't really have any thoughts at all, but I mean, it's been, we're just kind of sitting back and taking things in for right now and hoping that we see some of those numbers go up, that's for sure.
As you look back on the campaign, is there anything you would have done differently?
No, absolutely not. I knocked on every single door myself, minus a couple. I booted my way around, and as a party, I think we pulled together pretty quick and ran some pretty good campaigns with some really quality volunteers.
What will we be watching for the rest of the evening?
Really watching for the seats that we already have, and looking where we may make some strides in some other areas, and just sit back and take it all in.
What happens tonight if the Green Party is not the official opposition?
Well, I think that we look at perhaps reflect back on what we did and see what some areas we may have had some work to do in, and we rebuild for next time.
Well, thank you very much for your time. I appreciate it.
Thank you, Wayne.
That's Carla Bernard here at the Trailside Green Party headquarters here in Charlottetown. Louise, back to you.
And I know where that cheer was coming from, because they're seeing there's a bit of a delay, and that's what we're going to show you right now, because there are three Greens leading now on the board. So one is the leader of the Green Party, but take a look at his vote lead. It's only 4, so on the carbon copy to Carla Bernard, where we're seeing a very narrow lead for the Green Party leader. The PC candidate is in second, and the Liberal leader in third place at this moment in time. But so this is New Haven Rocky Point, where Peter Bevan Baker is the Green Party leader and the incumbent, but with a very, very narrow lead there. This is going to be a tight one to watch.
This is a classic Prince Edward Island race. I mean, we've had a tie before, right? That decided government back in the 1960s. This is going to go right down to the last poll.
We're getting all results are in now, so all 27 districts are reporting. So you're going to start seeing these numbers changing, maybe a lot, but 21 for the PCs right now, 3 for Green, 3 for Liberals. And we're going to take a closer look at a district now, and that is Tyne Valley Sherbrooke. Trish Altaz, the Green Party incumbent, in a lead 2, again, a very narrow lead of 7. So the Greens that are in the lead right now are just in the lead, Carrie.
Yeah, and I still feel like we haven't seen the advanced poll from 23. So remember how big the lead was the PCs got in those other advanced polls. That's something we might see pop into this race. But I mean, I think the PCs always knew that it was going to be difficult in that district to try to defeat this incumbent.
We have the last 2 districts that we're reporting. Carrie, you cited some lineups potentially, 16. Cornwall and Meadowbank. Mark McLean is the incumbent in this district. He has a lead of 547 votes. Tate Willows, the Green Party candidate, in second place right now. So Cornwall, Meadowbank, Mark McLean. That used to be a Liberal riding district.
30 plus years, right? That was Ronnie McKinley's district. So, I mean.
And Mark McLean won in a by-election.
He did, yeah. That was 2 years ago, and then became finance minister. So I think there were just maybe some people wondering, could that district go Liberal again?
Okay, we're going to go to the last district to report, District 1. This was Colin Levy's district. Okay, Colin Levy not reoffering. The PC candidate's Robin Croucher, and he is in the lead by 63 votes. So still a narrow victory or a narrow lead right now in Surrey Elmira. The Island Party leader is running that, Hava Kalnesi de Kalnesh. She has 2 votes right now. But so the PC looking to take Surrey Elmira if they can hold on to that lead.
A lot of people saw this as a three-way race. Boyd Laird for the Green Party ran a strong third place 4 years ago. Amber Dennis is a young entrepreneur, and Robin Croucher is the fire chief and a paramedic. So they're all well known in their community.
All right, we're counting the numbers here. So Progressive Conservatives leading or elected in 22, the Liberals 3, Green Party 2. Let's check in with Mitch Cormier and our insider panel to see how they're feeling about where the numbers are landing right now.
Well, and we have results from all districts. One of the ones that our insiders were talking about was Hal Perry in Tignish, Palmer Road, increasing share of the vote by nearly 10%. Jordan Brown, what do you take away from those numbers?
Yeah, this is a message. This is a Western Hospital message to Ernie Hudson and Premier King. And We the West is kicking it up there. And I would expect that it's a good sign for Robbie Henderson and perhaps Pat Murphy as well. And, you know, it's probably a big message to Premier King that you got to respect the West. And anybody that's from that area would tell you that.
Look, I think the message, there'll be a number of messages delivered across Prince Edward Island tonight, and if in fact Hal continues with his strength, which we fully expect. I mean, Hal Perry is a seasoned institution in island politics. He's come up the hard way, as they say, and credit to him. But no, there'll be plenty of messages delivered tonight in this election campaign, and I think it's important for all parties to be open and hearing what voters are telling us.
Anna?
I think in D27, part of that swing would be because it's one of the 2 ridings where the Greens did not field a candidate. We had quite a well-known school teacher candidate running there in the last election, but of course, you know, Hal Perry deserves that local support. He is a constituency politician, and I think is evidently well liked in the area.
And you're starting to see the numbers move now for the Green Party in a number of districts.
That's right, and I filled in my personal predictions in the betting pool yesterday, and these 4 ridings where the Greens are neck and neck are the ones where I predicted that we would hold, and I think should those 4 Greens hold their seats, then they can be a strong official opposition together.
Louise, thoughts from our insiders panel as we now have results from all 27 ridings. We'll continue to watch the numbers as they come in.
All right, and 7 of those districts are just too close to call, meaning the margin is just too low, under 100 votes. The tightest race tonight on Prince Edward Island, can you guess?
17.
17, you are correct. The tightest race tonight is New Haven Rocky Point. So take a look at the vote margin here. So New Haven Rocky Point, that is the Green Party leader and the Liberal leader running in this district. And look at that 4-vote margin between the Green Party leader and the PC candidate. Mermaid Stratford, 8-vote difference between the PC candidate and the Green incumbent in Mermaid Stratford. O'Leary Inverness, Liberal Henderson, he's hanging on by 48, but just 48 against the PC candidate in that district. Surrey Elmira, there's just a 63-vote margin there. Charlottetown Victoria Part, 68. And Charlottetown West Royalty between the Liberals and the PC, 98. So these would be the 2 close to call districts. And again, just a reminder that New Haven Rocky Point district, there are 2 leaders running in that district. Right now, the Green Party leader is holding on for dear life with a lead of 4 votes. So that really could go any way. It could go to Donalda Doherty tonight. We still have to wait for more numbers to come in. But this, I mean, what happens with Sharon Cameron if she can't pull up those numbers? Because right now, she's in 3rd.
Well, I suspect her fate will be sealed for her because Liberal knives are long knives, and she won't be long for the job, would be my guess, if she places a distant 3rd or even 2nd in this riding tonight.
If this flips and Peter Bevan-Baker is no longer, doesn't win a seat, that leaves a big question mark and a gap in the Green Party.
Yeah, absolutely, for sure. I mean, where do they go from there? There would be, I mean, a leadership review if it got to that point, but without a seat, I don't know if Bevan-Baker would let it get to that point. One thing I find interesting, though, I mean, everyone's going to be questioning the wisdom for the Liberals of having their leader run in this district, which is not her home district. She ran the next district over to take on, she said she wanted to take on the leader of the Green Party because She said that she didn't think there had been a good enough opposition. She's not a factor in this unless you consider the fact that there's a vote split here that could let the PCs come up the middle. That's not the worst outcome for the Liberals.
Okay, let's look at District 21, Summerside Wilmot, and Lynn Lund, the incumbent there, defeated by the PC candidate Tyler DeRoche. Wow, that's a blow for Lynn Lund and the Green Party.
This one will sting. Also a rematch from 2019, and back 4 years ago, Lynn Lund won by about 100 votes. So Tyler DeRoche benefited, he's a city councillor, he benefited from a great get out the vote campaign up there. And when there's a tide running, this is the type of result you get.
Another Green has lost tonight as well, been defeated by the PCs. So this is in Summerside South Drive. Steve Howard, the Green Party incumbent. The decision desk has projected that Barb Ramsey will be elected in that district. She is the PC candidate. So what do you think? I mean, the PCs wanted areas like Summerside and Charlottetown, and they are making strong gains in the areas where they set their sights.
Well, they can say they have representation across the province now, which they couldn't say at the beginning of the night. And again, Barb Ramsey is the type of person that Dennis King will probably target for a cabinet position.
Okay, PC's 23 leading and elected, Liberals 3, Green Party 1. Susie Dillon takes Charlottetown Belvedere. So Hannah Bell was the Green Party MLA in this district. Joanna Morrison running for the Greens this time around, but this former Green district now goes to the PCs in Charlottetown. So we've been talking about that, and Paul and Kerry and I about making those inroads in those districts where they wanted to see knock off a few Greens. I mean, the Premier himself said that. They wanted to knock off some Greens and get some, as you mentioned, wider representation, particularly where they didn't have it before, and then they can say, we represent tip to tip.
Well, tip to tip, and also the good. If you're Dennis King, the great thing that's happening tonight is gender diversity that is building in his caucus. Going into this election, he only had 2 female MLAs. He'll come out of this with significant more, which makes selecting a cabinet and a whole host of other things much easier.
So PC 23 leading and elected in 23 districts, Liberals 3, Green 1. Let's go back to District 17. As we mentioned before, this is the tightest race in the province right now, and there we go. It's a margin, tiny little lead there for Donalda Docherty. Peter Bevan Baker in second right now, Sharon Cameron in third, the Liberal leader, and you see some cheering happening at PC headquarters, because they're making those strong gains in areas where they set their sights. But that is an interesting one to watch, because that is the leader of the Green Party, the former leader of the opposition, who is right now in second place, but by a very small...
He's the leader of the opposition. Look, the Tories would love to take Peter Bevan Baker out because they don't really like him a whole lot. There's no love lost between the PC government and Peter Bevan Baker. They won't say that really publicly, but they will admit it strongly in the background. And look, if Peter Bevan Baker wins or loses, he's made an impact on this island for the better since 2015.
It then begs the question, though, if he can't keep a seat, then what's the strategy there? Right now there's only one Green Party member on the board.
Well, the Greens hope that they're not completely wiped out tonight. I mean, it's a long time before the end of the night, and the Greens tend to get votes later in the evening.
There's only 30% of the vote in, by the way, in that district.
Correct. So, I mean, let's not cut Peter Bevan Baker's career short right now because he's 7 votes behind. But the Greens need to start thinking about the lessons and why they have failed to take advantage of what really was a historic opportunity.
All right, Kerry's been on the move. He's moved from the desk to the board.
I keep coming back to this map because every time we come here, it's changed. It's more interesting. So, and every time we come, there's more blue on this map. Now, keep in mind, 4 years ago, we looked at this map. You had 8 green districts. You had several here in Charlottetown. You had District 17 here, was green at that point, and then you had 3 up here in the Summerside area. Now we're down to, there's 2 now. They're leading in, looks like District 12, that would be Carla Bernard, and District 5 as well. That's Michelle Beaton. But let's just have a look. There we go, the greater Charlottetown area here, where the PCs are definitely making gains, and Liberals holding on here. This would be D15 here. That would be Gord McNeely. Let's just take a look, though. Let's break down the Green vote, what it's done tonight. So 4 years ago, the Greens won 30% of the popular vote, ended up with 8 seats. Now they're down to 20% in what we've counted so far tonight. And you see that loss is pretty uniform across the board. They're down roughly 10 points in just about every part of the province except eastern P.E.I, which was not an area where they were particularly strong to begin with. In Summerside, they're currently sitting at 31% support. Charlottetown, 24% support. Those are where they're still holding strong, but they're not showing the seats with this overall reduction in the vote.
All right, thanks very much, Kerry. Let's have a closer look at one of those Green districts because there's 2 Greens now in the lead and Michelle Beaton has flipped. So with a lead of 21 votes, so still a very narrow lead at this point, but Michelle Beaton back on the board. Jen Redmond is the PC candidate there, ran a very effective campaign. She was out with doing a lot of door knocking, but Michelle Beaton is also a very, very active member of the community in her district.
She goes to everything.
Yeah.
I mean, she's everywhere, and she is a really strong member of the Green caucus and holding the government accountable. So this was going to be close anyway. Jen Redmond won a contested nomination, surprised a lot of people. It was what she won by 1 vote, I think, on the nomination. This is a great two-way race. The Liberal vote seems to have collapsed pretty well in this riding.
All right, let's check in with Wayne Thibodeau now at Green Party headquarters because I'm sure, obviously disappointing in the early numbers, Wayne, but, you've got 2 now. It was 1 last time we chatted with you.
Yeah, it's been a roller coaster of emotions really here. We've heard some boos and we've heard some celebrations, particularly when we saw Michelle Beaton there ahead in that district. And I'm joined by Nathan Hood. He's Director of Policy for the Green Party's campaign. And maybe I'll just start with that. How are you feeling?
I'm feeling all right. I mean, it's still early, and I think we've seen some of the votes, like some of the seats have been changing. So, I mean, we'll have to wait till all the polls are in to know. But I think we're still feeling optimistic.
Is this where you thought you would be tonight, at this point in the night?
I thought we'd be doing a little bit better, but again, I think it's still early, so there's still plenty of time to do better. Yep.
Mm-hmm. And why do you think we are where we are now?
That's hard to say. We just have to count all the ballots because I think we've seen Michelle come back. I think we've seen Carla come back. I think Peter's going to win his seats. So I still think we have the chance to do very well, but we just have to wait for the votes to come in.
I was going to say, and how critical is it to have Green Party leader Peter Bevan Baker win his seat?
Oh, I think it's very important. Peter's been a tremendous asset in the legislature. I think Green voices have been, very important. They stand with diverse communities. I think they've really improved the decorum of the House. So, and also just the legislative agenda they've had. Like, there has been no opposition in the history of our province that has achieved so much legislatively as the Greens. So to lose that, I think, would be a very big loss for the province.
So you'll be on the edge of your seat for a little while longer.
Maybe, but I'm still feeling good.
Thank you very much for your time, Nathan.
Thank you.
Back to you, Louise.
Thank you. I hate to break it to him. It's really not that early in the election. A lot of things have been settled so far. We're still waiting for a few too close to call districts. One of them not close to call, District 13, Charlottetown Brighton, where the CBC News projection desk is projecting Rob Lance has been elected in District 13, lead of 307 votes. That is the final number there. And Michelle Neal, the NDP leader, not winning that. She ran in this district because she didn't want to run in her home district, which she would have been up against Dennis King, and sort of said, you don't run 2 leaders against each other. So the NDP leader not winning a seat tonight, but Rob Lance, the former PC leader who lost a seat in 2015, elected finally in Charlottetown Brighton. He's got to be a pretty happy camper right now.
This will be a big win for him because back in 2015, if he had won in his riding, he probably could be premier today. But he's just come through a very significant health issue. So it's nice to see, A, that he's healthy, B, that he's engaged. He's a lock for cabinet. He's a big data kind of guy, a big thinker, and he's the type of person that you probably wanted at cabinet.
Carrie, I'm sure you remember interviewing Rob Lance in the 2015 election.
Yeah,
he remembers it too.
That was my job. He was watching the results come in from his parents' house. And we didn't get to see him very much until it was all over because it was not a good night for him, clearly. It's funny, I live in District 13. Talking to my neighbors, I've been starting to wonder, is there such a thing as maybe a collective sense of, I don't know if guilt would be the right word, but just feeling some amount of remorse for letting the leader of a party lose in that election by such a very small margin that he lost by that time. I think the fact that he lost that race actually helped him in this one. I don't think he needed that help, but I think it made some people who might have been on the fence think, well, we didn't give it to him last time, so
Yeah, why don't we check in with the guy who beat him in 2015? Jordan Brown is part of our insider panel in the lobby, and Mitch Cormier. What's Mr. Brown saying about this?
Well, what's that old saying? I know a guy, and it just happens to be right here. Jordan, what are your thoughts on Rob Lance so many years later?
You know, congratulations to Rob. Rob's a great person, and he comes from a great family that's got steep roots in that district. And, you know, I can't give myself too much credit for 2015. Rob spent a lot of time out building up the party, and, you know, perhaps if he had it to do over again, maybe he would have spent more in the district. So anyway, he's a great guy. I'm sure he'll be a great MLA.
Well, one of the things we've seen, and we've been tracking the movement of the leaders a fair bit, is that every one of the leaders stuck close to their ridings almost every single day. Why is that so important, Darren Peters?
Well, listen, I mean, I think leaders owe it to their constituents to make sure that they are first and foremost members of the Legislative Assembly. And that's a standard that's been set long, long ago. And I think that all of our leaders have been very cognizant of that, particularly in this campaign.
And has it been hard for Peter Bevan Baker to stray from his district, given the challenge that he has?
Well, I think given the closeness of tonight's results, he might be regretting some of the choices he made about where he spent his time. But I know that he was trying to lift up Greens all across the province. I'm delighted to see, you know, Carla and Michelle. It appears that they're both going to be in the legislature following that, two very strong Green women. But I do think some of the positive vibes or the messages that we're getting from the trail side there, from the campaign organisers, is a little optimistic. If I look at Greens on Twitter, they're feeling pretty devastated tonight to have lost most of their caucus. And, you know, I'm really worried about what this could mean for the future of policy on PEI, especially with such a huge majority. Are the PCs really going to listen to alternative perspectives? Are they going to just build housing that sprawls into farmland, or are we going to go for density? Are we going to take some of those ideas that have come from the Greens during their time in opposition?
Look, I think that Premier King has established himself as a very collaborative leader, a very collaborative premier, and I don't see that changing in tonight's results. As a matter of fact, I think that you'll find that he's even more collaborative in trying to make the legislature work, in trying to give a voice for those that may not feel as if they have one right now. And I'm confident that we'll see further collaboration moving forward.
Jordan, how much of this was a referendum on this collaborative style of government that we saw for at least the first 2.5 years?
I think it totally is, and I think that's where the Greens have fallen short. And you know, I don't actually think that the style was that collaborative. I think the Green opposition was trying to govern from the opposition benches, and the Premier was open-minded, and he out-Petered Peter in the first 2 years, and they had to shift when the majority turned. So, you know, I think the Green Party's paying the price for that tonight, and Islanders need a strong opposition, and we hope we can get it with those numbers.
Our insiders continue to watch the numbers, and they're doing their own number crunching here on their pads of papers, Louise.
Thank you very much. Thanks for that insight. 18 candidates have been elected tonight, 17 PC, 1 Liberal. That is Hal Perry, the elected Liberal, projected elected. Gord McNeely still hanging on with a lead of 118 votes in Charlottetown West Royalty. Christy McKay in second there. Gord McNeely is the incumbent in this district, so that is one of the Liberals that you see leading or elected, but leading in this case in District Charlottetown West Royalty in 14. Let's have a closer look at District 25. That is Robert Henderson is the Liberal incumbent there. And again, you can see why it's just too close to call. He's got a lead of 113 votes, so that could still change. And the only Liberal hanging on, Hal, that has been re-elected tonight is in 27. That is Tignish Palmer Road, Hal Perry winning, being re-elected. He is the incumbent there, Tignish Palmer Road. Not a big surprise that Hal Perry is the one Liberal elected so far, but those other 2 Liberals, you know, still tight races.
You know what's fascinating about this is this is shaping up to be a reasonably balanced House. I mean, Dennis King's going to get his majority, but it doesn't look like he's going to sweep the island to 26.
We got 21, 3, and 3 now.
Right?
So
if there are 6 opposition members, if that's ultimately the number, that's enough to more than hold government accountable.
Okay, well, let's check in with Laura Meter now. She is at Liberal Party headquarters. So let's find out how they're feeling. When, you know, we got 3 on the board, only 1 elected so far, Laura, but there's still time yet.
Hi, so I'm here with co-chair Zach Murphy. He co-chairs the campaign with Katie Morello. So it's a little hard to hear in here. There's some yelling. And Zach Murphy, what do you think these results say from Islanders in terms of the Liberal Party?
Look, I mean, we knew that this was going to be a bit of a challenging election for us, coming back off of the defeat in 2019. But I think the fact that we're still sitting in second place here, is tied for second, I guess, right now, is encouraging. And we're starting the rebuild, and we're looking forward to it.
And was it a mistake, do you think, to have a leader taking on another leader in that New Haven Rocky Point district?
Look, Sharon, I think, wanted to set the tone and send a message and let people know that the Liberal Party was back and we're here to stay. And I think that's what she intended to do when she made that decision.
And so what is the plan now at this point? I know it's still early on in terms of the results, but tomorrow, what is the Liberal Party doing, would you say?
Tomorrow, day one, starts with the rebuild and just kind of continue this momentum that we've captured here in this election and start rebuilding tomorrow.
All right. So that was Zach Murphy, the co-chair of the Liberal campaign. Back to you, Louise.
Thank you very much, Laura. Thank you, Zach. And you know, it doesn't look like the Liberals are going to make any more gains. This, if they can hold 3. That's good for the Liberals because they're not in second place in any of the seats left tonight in any of the districts. So 3 might be where, if they're lucky, if they can hold on to that, 3 might be what the Liberals are left with tonight. Let's have a closer look at District 12, where the Green Party incumbent Carla Bernard is in the lead. But again, look at that lead. It's not a big lead, Carrie.
There's just 1 poll left here, too. So yeah. It's just going to come right down to the wire. This one became really interesting when there was a meeting a few weeks ago in the community to talk about the location of the safe consumption site the government had planned for in that district. That's where the PC candidate, Tim Kaiser, got up in front of everyone and said, no, you know what? This isn't happening in our district. This is going to move somewhere else.
They all agreed, though, every other candidate.
They all agreed. The PC candidate got to make the announcement, which was a government decision, and everyone, all 4 candidates who were there, got on board and said, yeah, no, it shouldn't be in the location that they've chosen.
All right, let's get to District 17. This has been the tightest race all night and continues to be a very tight race. Green Party leader and the incumbent Peter Bevan Baker in the lead now, narrowly, with 18 votes. Donalda Docherty, the PC candidate, in second. And again, Sharon Cameron is the Liberal Party leader on Prince Edward Island.
Well, Peter Bevan Baker isn't going away easily, and nor is Donalda Docherty, and that's exactly how the Tories thought this riding would play out. Sharon Cameron's position as Liberal leader is obviously tenuous at best, given the results thus far. It'll go down to the last poll.
Yeah, well, let's have another look at a tight race tonight. Probably, well, this would be the tightest race now. Taking over from District 17 is Mermaid Stratford, Michelle Beaton, the incumbent there. But the PC candidate, remember, this is flipped. This is where you saw the Green go down to 2 from 3 because Jen Redmond, the PC candidate, is in lead, but just a narrow lead, 4 votes right now, Carrie.
Yeah, no, this was always going to come down to the wire, and so here we are with, Michelle Beaton has a track record there trying to fight against this Tory tide, and we're going to be watching this one until the very last poll is counted for sure.
Paul, what do you think? I mean, Jen Redmond, a lot of people like her in the community. She ran a really effective campaign, so it could... Michelle Beaton, also an effective candidate. I mean, you've got 2 strong women vying for the seat.
Yeah, well, sometimes good people lose. And if that happens to Michelle Beaton tonight, it's not because she was a bad MLA or a bad constituency person. It's because there was a strong PC candidate and a strong premier with obvious coattails across the province.
It will be interesting to see, Carrie, and we'll look at that a bit later, the gender diversity in the legislature once all is said and done tonight, because there was a record number of female candidates.
There was, yeah. We had 51 female candidates. There was also a record number of overall candidates in this election, 119. But, well, that was something the Greens brought to the last legislature. They had more than half of their caucus was women, and that was new.
And, you know, it wasn't lost on me at the leaders' debate that 4 years ago I was on stage in Summerside with 4 men. And this time it was 2 men and 2 women. So we saw some diversity in the leadership roles as well. We are actually standing by to go to NDP headquarters. I know Michelle Neal is getting ready to speak. They're just miking her up to get ready to do that. A disappointing night for Michelle Neal, though, running in District 13, but a tough race for sure with Rob Lance running.
I've heard from so many people who were impressed by Michelle Neal in the leadership debate, yet this shows you how hard it is for a leader of that party to try to move the needle. They're sitting at under 5% in terms of the popular vote. I think last time maybe it was
3%.
3%, yeah. So, I mean, it shifted upwards there, but not upwards in a way where you're going to get a seat unless you have some sort of Herb Dickinson kind of miracle, which doesn't seem to be happening.
Yeah, a lot of people, you're right, said she was very effective at the debate, and we're going to hear from NDP leader Michelle Neal now. Let's go to NDP headquarters in downtown Charlottetown.
Hello everyone, bonjour, kwe, welcome, and thank you to everyone for coming tonight. I'm just totally overwhelmed by how many people are here. I want to begin by thanking our party members, the executive, the provincial council, our campaign team, the volunteers, the supporters, donors, our candidates, and of course my campaign manager, Leslie, where did she go? and our P.E.I. campaign director, Matt. They've been just amazing. You all inspire me, and I can't wait to keep doing this work with all of you. I've just called the leaders of the other parties to thank them on a well-done and respectful campaign, and I've congratulated Dennis King on his re-election as Premier, of course. To my family, my rock, who supported me throughout this entire journey, from the moment I told them I wanted to give a try to the federal campaign in Malpeque in August of 2021, to then turning my attention to the leadership of the party, and then running in this provincial election, they were there encouraging me every single step of the way. I never could have had the energy and excitement without each of all of them. Thank you so much for your love, honest feedback, because sometimes I need that, encouragement and praise each and every day. I love you all. Trying to get through this without getting emotional. What a year, what a month, what a week it has been. It's been almost 1 year to the day that we embarked on this journey together with me as your chosen leader of the party. At my core, I believe elections are about ensuring that whatever the makeup of the legislature, that you, your neighbors, your community, and your ideas are reflected in that historic place. New Democrats believe that we can make a better island when we lift everyone up. When islanders have a properly funded public health care system that keeps all of our city and rural hospitals open. Yes. When life is affordable and you have a paycheck to cover the things that you need in order to make ends meet. When your family can find a home that is accessible and affordable. When seniors can retire, live in dignity, and get the care that they deserve. When young people can put down roots and get a really good job here on P.E.I. When parents know that they'll get the supports they need in their kids' schools. This is the island we know is possible. Since becoming leader, we have focused our energy by building the party to what we see today and by telling islanders who we are. We are a party of everyday people trying to make life better for islanders. And in this campaign, that is exactly what we've done. We ran a full slate of 27 candidates. Woo! I'm so proud, so proud. We were the first of the parties to have a platform released. Yes. Yes. We knocked on doors, we made phone calls, we painted towns and villages orange, and we have a good vision for our province. Unfortunately, we didn't get an opportunity to elect an MLA tonight, but there's no doubt that we've shown that we can run a wonderful campaign focused on islanders. Yes. So the next campaign starts tomorrow. We're going to build, we're going to grow, and talk to more Islanders than ever before. We won't stop until the job is done, and I know better is possible. Even if we're not in the legislature, it doesn't mean that Islanders' voices won't be heard. The government won't get a pass on privatizing our healthcare system. No. Right? They won't get a pass on doctor, RCW, PSW, LPN, paramedic, nurse, technicians, and supporting healthcare worker recruitment. They won't get a pass on making life more affordable, and they won't get a pass on building more housing that is truly affordable based on income. No way. Building this movement and building this party starts tomorrow, and I can't wait to do it with all of you. We will fight for you, and we'll fight for a better deal. Merci. Thank you. Walalan.
That is NDP leader Michelle Neal with a message of hope, really, for the future, despite being defeated tonight. Talking about the wins here, a full slate of candidates. Liberals and Greens couldn't get a full slate of candidates, so that is something she is proud of, and vowing to still work for Islanders and being a voice, an additional voice for Islanders, despite not having a spot in the legislature. So while that was going on, you look at the board there, and I'll tell you that the PCs leading and elected in 22, Liberals 3, Greens 2, 23 out of 27 have been elected tonight. We're still waiting on 4. Let's go to District 5, where we can tell you that the Green Party incumbent Michelle Beaton has been defeated by Jen Redmond, the PC candidate. Big blow for Michelle Beaton in that community.
It's a big blow for Michelle Beaton. It's a big blow for the Green Party, and it's a big win for the PC party. Female representation, that's a great thing that will continue in the legislature. But Michelle Beaton was a particularly effective MLA in the House, challenging the King government.
Let's show you the 4 districts we are still waiting on tonight, waiting to project a candidate elected. So Surrey, Elmira, this was Colin Levy's district. PC MLA Robin Croucher is running for the PCs there. He is in the lead at the moment.
That must have been quite a lineup they had up in Surrey, because there's not a lot of votes on that board yet.
No,
they
6
got
of
quite a
10
ways
polls
behind
reporting, so we still have a way to go there.
I promoted him to fire chief when he's not. Robin.
Oh, okay. Not the fire chief,
He's
but
not
okay.
the fire chief.
District 14, here's another one that we're still waiting on. 9 of 10 polls reporting there, but Gord McNeely in the lead right now, up 157 votes, so holding on at the moment against the PC candidate, Christy McKay, who was doing a lot of door knocking with Dennis King.
Dennis King was in this district more than any other district but his own. Now, if you look at Gord McNeely, though, Gord McNeely was kind of the one bright spot for the Liberals 4 years ago. This fresh face that came up and won a seat for them, and is largely seen as kind of carrying a lot of the future of the party on his shoulders. So it would be a blow to the party if he was not able to hold on to his seat today.
And the only diverse member of the P.E.I. legislature.
The only black person ever elected to the P.E.I. legislature.
Let's have a look at District 25, O'Leary Inverness. Robert Henderson is in the lead. He is the Liberal incumbent, up by 113. Again, too close to call at this moment in time, but Daniel McDonald down to 113 from Robert Henderson. Let's go back to 17. Again, that was the one we've been watching with that tight race. Getting a little bit less tight, but it's only 67 votes. Peter Bevan Baker, the Green Party leader, fighting to hold on to his seat here to get back into the legislature against the PC candidate to this point. He's up by 67 votes.
Well, it is just one of those ridings that is going to keep us watching until the last ballots are cast. It does seem to be separating out a little bit. I don't know if you can extrapolate that to the last 3 polls, but Peter Bevan Baker's got to be breathing a little sigh of relief.
Right. We're going. Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
Yeah, no, so it's interesting to note of the 4 seats that we still haven't called yet. 2 of those the Liberals are leading. 1 the Greens are leading. Another the Greens are in second place. So this is why we haven't really, I guess, called the opposition yet. It's not clear yet which party is going to come in second place still.
Well, the Greens will take their wins tonight where they can, and Carla Bernard is a win. Let's have a look at District 12. The projection is that Carla Bernard has been re-elected in Charlottetown, Victoria Park, and that will That's a great win. That's a great win for the Greens. A blow to the PCs. Let's have a look at Green Party headquarters, and they are taking this win and running with it, and they should, because there's not a lot of they're going to lose seats tonight.
They're going to lose significant seats tonight, and this is the first one that they can take to the bank.
Right.
So the Greens will be in the House. They will be a diminished caucus, but they will be a voice. Whether they're the official opposition or the third party remains to be seen, and that's okay. If you're in the Green Party, the good thing is that the momentum that's been built from 2015 still stands an opportunity to grow.
And you have a place to build from. I'd love to hear what Anna Keenan has to say about all of this. So let's head out to the lobby where Mitch Cormier is standing by with our insider panel. Mitch.
Anna has been watching the numbers, and it's been a roller coaster over the past 5 minutes. Anna, what do you take away from the results?
Well, last time I spoke, Michelle Beaton had what I thought was a strong lead. Yes. So my heart is really going out to Michelle. That must have hurt to see those last 4 polls come in, and that's now complete. So she has been a real strength in the Green caucus, and I'm very sad to see her gone. I'm not surprised to see Carla re-elected, and I think that's particularly notable because her riding is really where a lot of the issues around the homeless population, the safe injection site happened, and she was always standing with the vulnerable community, with those islanders most in need of services. And there was a lot of NIMBYism from the other parties, like not in my backyard, we don't want this next to us. But the community there is compassionate and wants to look after all islanders. And that's always the values that Carla has really clearly held up. And I think that's been rewarded today. Yeah.
Jordan?
I think these are interesting results. I think Paul said the Liberal knives are long. I think we're going to find out pretty quick, particularly after Hannah Bell's hit piece there a couple weeks ago, how sharp and long the Green knives are. And, I'm feeling pretty good about the results tonight. I think this is largely what we expected. I feel very badly for Sharon. I think she's done a tremendous job as leader of the party. And look, there may be a by-election in District 17 here before long.
Well, and is it too early to talk about leadership, or is the luxury of time here?
Absolutely not. Listen, the fact is that Peter Bevan Baker is going to have to answer to the Green membership tomorrow morning in the fact that it looks right now as if he's taken his caucus of 8 very capable members of the Legislative Assembly who've worked very hard to establish themselves over the past 4 years down to 2. And Paul had suggested that they've maintained some momentum. They may have, but they're certainly slowed down significantly. So I think that there's long knives in the liberal side of things, and the knives could be quite sharp on the Green side.
And Louise, I can tell you, our panel, our insiders panel, are particularly partisan, but all good words from Michelle Neal tonight as they sat and watched her speech.
All right, thank you very much, Mitch. We're going to go to PC headquarters. I think arguably where the biggest party is probably happening right now, and Dennis King will probably be making his way shortly down to the Delta. But Brittany Spencer standing by with a guest tonight, and there must be a lot of celebrations happening where you are tonight, Brittany.
Oh, absolutely. The celebration hasn't stopped here, and I'm here with Margaret Ann Walsh. She worked with the Get Out to Vote campaign. So I'm curious to know, you worked on Dennis King's campaign in 2019. Tell me a little bit about how working on the campaign was maybe different this time around.
Well, in 2019, we were kind of following this idea that the Premier had, which was to do politics differently and to see if that would gain traction across the island. And it was clear going to the doors during this campaign that that was really resonating with people. There was a lot of buy-in. People were happy to see us. They were happy with the messaging and the ideas and this kind of strategy of positivity and working together and collaboration. So that was the messaging we were going on, and it's obvious that it was the right one, and there was a lot of buy-in from tip to tip, particularly in Western P.E.I. and across Summerside, and we're really happy with the results, and it's a real boost to the Premier's idea that he had in 2019.
All right, and now non-stop celebration here tonight. Tell me a little bit about how you're feeling.
Oh, I'm feeling great. There's a lot of energy, there's a lot of positivity, really kind of just showing that the Dennis King is on the right path. There's a groundswell of support for him across the island. So I think the idea will be to follow his lead and to keep going with the same ideas for the next 4 years.
And now, is this meeting your expectations of what you anticipated would happen here tonight?
I think so. I think, we felt very good coming into the night, and we thought we'd be around in the 22, 24, 20 kind of range. A little disappointed with a couple of results in some districts, but overall, I mean, how can you not be thrilled with the endorsement that the province has given to the PC government?
Tell me a little bit about what it was like to work on this campaign this time around, and how it feels to be here at this moment right now.
It was very well organized. The districts were, from the get-go, they were all well organized. They were getting reports back regularly, working on materials. There was a lot of connectivity between the central campaign and each of the 27 districts. So we feel really good about that. The communications were kind of flowing both ways between the districts from tip to tip. So it was just a very positive experience, I think, for anyone that was involved in the campaign, and we're thrilled with the outcome.
Wonderful. Thank you so much for your time. That's Margaret Ann Walsh, and I'll throw it back to you, Louise.
Thank you very much. We have another projection for you now. Peter Bevan Baker re-elected in New Haven Rocky Point, projected re-elected. So that is the Green Party leader securing a place in the legislature. So that will be, there will be some relief happening in Green Party headquarters, and particularly and some cheers and applause that the Green Party leader has been re-elected in his district tonight. There's just 2 districts left. So it's one of the reasons we cannot project the official opposition just yet.
Fun, isn't it?
Fun.
Look. I know the lads out front and on the panel are trying to make it nefarious that there's something going on with the Greens and they'll implode, and that may very well be the case because losing hurts. And this will.
And this is a big loss.
Well, this will probably go down in Island history as one of the largest squandered opportunities because the Greens now they blame COVID, and there's some merit to that, but they did not go out and do the groundwork necessary to build the community infrastructure needed to get the vote out. And we saw tonight, shock and awe by the PC government of Dennis King delivering an advance poll after advance poll after advance poll. And the Greens had 4 years, and they really, there was no shock or awe there.
I want to get to District 14 because we can tell you that there's a projection there as well, and that is Gord McNeely re-elected in Charlottetown West Royalty. Whew, another one breathing a sigh of relief tonight because Gord McNeely is the incumbent there, and that gives another seat to the Liberals. So the question now is these 2 districts we're waiting on, how those numbers go so that we can determine, the decision desk can project who the official opposition will be. We could end up with a tie, and then that opens up a whole other conversation. But there is Liberal headquarters, and they are taking this win. Gord McNeely re-elected. Kerry, weigh in on this.
Well, I mean, this is, at this point, you're wanting to make sure that there is enough of an opposition that's going to be in the legislature to hold government to account. 22 on the government side. In fact, government's going to be on both sides of the House now. They're going to have to reconfigure the seats because there's going to be too many to fit on the government side. That's more than enough to form all the cabinet that you need. So it's if we see that 3 and that 2, if we see those numbers drop down for the opposition parties at this point, then it just becomes harder and harder for the people who are going to be trying to hold this government to account over the next 4 years. Gord McNeely has shown that he is very much looking out for the interests of Islanders who are not as well off, so his voice will be welcome in the debates to come.
And he's running around doing lawns and doing gardening and exercising wherever he goes.
Well, he has been the voice of the vulnerable in the provincial legislature, and that's been needed because, gosh, the most vulnerable in this province have been hammered over the past 4 years, and Gord McNeely's been at the center of ensuring that their voice is heard. You got to think that if there's a negative for Premier King tonight, it's that the ridings that he spent the most time in, District 12, District 14, both candidates lost. That will sting a little bit.
And District 17.
Looking for the negative.
And District 17.
And, well, 17, that's right.
But I don't think he spent as much time there, right?
No, he didn't, no.
We're waiting on 2 districts left. 1 in 25.
One thing I'm wondering about, with all this talk about the Tory advance vote, get out the vote, I wonder if every party is going to want to have a bus from now on, right? We don't usually see that in the P.E.I. campaign.
I'm assuming the bus is on the road
Tory
now.
bus with a PC wrap on it.
Because the Dennis King is heading to the Delta for the big sort of splashy party at the Delta, but I'm assuming he's on the road maybe. I don't know if anyone can let us know if he's on the road. So we'll be watching for him and we'll be taking that live as well when he gets to the Delta Prince Edward. But 1 in 25, waiting. And it's interesting that these two districts are left without knowing who's going to be elected and sort of hold the key to the opposition.
Yeah, I mean, I would guess the colors that we're seeing right now will probably be the final colors, just given the lead that we were seeing. Things can obviously change. Look, if Rob Henderson holds in 25, then what's left of the Giz and McLaughlin Great West Wall is still intact. It's Hal Perry and Robbie Henderson. How they work with Gord McNeely is going to be an interesting situation to watch, because some of the policies that Gord promotes don't necessarily translate into West Prince politics.
Well, then I'm curious too about the Liberal leadership. What happens now?
Well, and this is, it'll be interesting. There was always rumors that Gord McNeely was interested in it. So now we would find out, because what the PCs found out in 2015 when Rob Lance, as PC leader, lost his seat, it is very hard to try to be the leader of a party when you're not in the legislature. He tried to do it from outside the rail. Eventually, he just had to resign as leader because that was too difficult.
How does the Liberal Party rebuild? They went down in the last election dramatically. They've lost seats in this election by all accounts. So, we talk about rebuilding, we talk about being prepared for this election. We all knew it was going to be in 2023. Maybe it came earlier, but I think the writing was on the wall that it was going to be a spring election. And yet both the Liberals and the Greens could not get a full slate of candidates. And Sharon Cameron was the only person who stepped up to be the leader of the Liberal Party.
Sharon Cameron deserves an immense amount of credit for stepping up and taking on what was a task no one else wanted. She wasn't paid to be Liberal leader. She may have got some expenses, but she did a lot of work getting around the province. She probably won't be around to see the benefit of that work play out.
Does she announce that resignation tonight? I think that's what
that's entirely up to her.
Well, let's go to Liberal headquarters. Laura Meter is standing by for us live now at Lone Oak with a guest this evening, Marcia Carroll.
Hi, Louise. Yes, I'm here with Marshall Carroll of District 9, Charlottetown Belvedere. How do you react to, District 11? And so just talking to Marcia Carroll here, how do you react to what you're seeing? If the numbers hold, this does mean that the Liberals could possibly be the official opposition. Any reactions to what you're seeing tonight?
Oh, yeah. Well, we thought we would obviously do much better than we did, but it would be really nice to be official opposition again, with the resources and the prestige that comes with that office. Certainly it's a lot harder to be third party, so we're excited about that. We've got 3 MLAs elected, and they'll go back in and do the good work that they have to do.
And how do you feel about your results personally?
Oh, just heartbroken, it's such hard work and such gratifying work at the same time. You go out, you knock on doors, people are very kind, and you go home with a sense that, well, that was a good day, I'm doing really good, and it's not easy physically, but emotionally it's good work. So we ran a straightforward campaign. I ran against 4 other really amazing candidates. This is a blue wave, and it didn't matter. It didn't matter what Dennis King did. People were going to vote blue.
So, in your mind, what's the plan for your Liberal leader now?
I don't know what she'll do. I mean, that's a question for her. I mean, it was a gutsy move to run there, and it didn't pay off. But what's incredible about Sharon is the team she built. We have the most diverse slate of candidates in the history of the province. I believe we have 11 women and 4 people of color. So we built that team, and there's now camaraderie amongst us, and we want to continue to be able to do the work. But, you know, it's 4 years away, and if, you know, we have to decide if we're going to be running again next time.
All right, thanks a lot. That's Marcia Carroll from Charlottetown Belvedere. Back to you.
Thank you very much, Laura Meter. Thank you to Marcia Carroll. And yeah, I mean, Marcia raises a good question about sort of the future, and it's up to Sharon Cameron what she does next. But it was a move, a strategic move to run against the Green Party leader in District 17, and that strategy didn't pay off. So there will be questions about that going forward, I'm sure. We're still waiting on 2 districts, and so the balance of opposition is hanging with these 2 districts, and we're going to show you why. So over 1,300 advanced poll numbers. We're waiting on those results in District 1, Surrey-Elmira. So we're still waiting on that, you know, over 1,300 votes to come in there, even though Robert Croucher is in the lead with 313 votes right now, or with a lead of 313 votes. So we're still waiting on what happens there, because the Green is in second. So if that flips, then you've got, you know, then you've got a 3-3, Liberals 3, Greens 3, and then you've got a toss-up about who might be the official opposition. The other district that we are waiting on is 25. Robert Henderson, the Liberal incumbent, is in the lead, up by 113 votes, but just 113 votes. So once again, could that flip? And then we see the Liberals with 2 and the Greens with 2. And then again, we have a tie for the opposition, and then what happens from there. So that is why we're just waiting to see some of the results, more results coming in. 10 of 11 polls reporting in O'Leary, Inverness. So we're wanting to make sure that the projection made for official opposition is as accurate as it can be, because we could end up here with a Liberal-Green tie by the end of the night. So let's head over to the lobby again, where Mitch Cormier is with our insiders tonight. Mitch.
And let's talk about the value of that word, official opposition or opposition. Does it make a difference given the work that both the Green Party of P.E.I. and the Liberal Party of P.E.I. have to do and after tonight? Jordan.
Makes a massive difference, and start with budgets. You know, like running an office is not just a bunch of people running around doing what they think they should. It requires staff, it requires hard work and strategy, and you need really an office and resources to be able to do it effectively. And so, yeah, it matters a lot. Yeah.
Anna, I know, you know, that one office in the basement of the Coles.
That's right. Yeah, that was a hard situation for the first few years of Peter's being, you know, a lone MLA and third party. But one of the things I think is really interesting is that if we had been conducting this election under proportional representation, it's actually the Greens who would be official opposition, because they're ahead of the Liberals in the popular vote. So had we had proportional representation, it would be 15 seats for the PCs, which is a majority, but not the overwhelming majority that we're seeing tonight. 6 Greens, 5 Liberals, and even 1 NDP. That's what the result would have been if it was to more accurately reflect the diversity of opinion of island voters.
And Jordan, you led the committee on democratic reform. Do we revisit that conversation given these numbers?
I think that's a decision for government, clearly. You know, I mean, we've been through the exercise now fairly frequently in the last 20 or 25 years on Prince Edward Island. You do have to kind of ask the question as to how often you can go back to that well when there's no clear, definitive direction one way or the other. I can tell you that it is a very kind of divisive exercise, and I'm not saying that in any partisan way. You know, I just know that in every district where it was something that was kind of a popular issue, it was an issue that was divisive and people had strong feelings over. And
this was supposed to be a fall election under a new electoral system. It's a spring election under the same electoral system. Your leader, Dennis King, said that the Citizens' Assembly had to be put to the back burner because there were more important things to do.
Absolutely.
Is he still open to that conversation?
Look, I think that there are considerable challenges that face the province right now, and I think that the priority moving forward is going to be to try to solve some of the ones that are nipping at our heels greatly. And I think, quite frankly, if we had have seen an even stronger PC result, then perhaps the issue of proportional representation would be even more prescient right now. I think the reality is that the Liberals and the Green Party got the seats that they deserve to get tonight.
Mm-hmm. The numbers that Anna mentioned were because Anna has somebody who's been kind of watching the numbers under a system of proportional representation.
Yeah, I'm talking to some of the folks at Fair Vote Canada, and I think this is, it's an interesting question because proportional representation is not just it's not a partisan interest. It's about reflecting citizen values and the voice of all the people, not just the people who vote for the most popular party. And there's a lot of evidence to suggest that it leads to better long-term thinking. So Kerry Campbell said at the beginning of this broadcast, we're in a healthcare crisis, a housing crisis, inflation crisis, climate crisis. And if we had systems that promoted better long-term thinking, collaboration, better policy stability, getting out of this, what can we do in the short term to address this crisis that we're reacting to, I think we'd be in a better state in the long term.
But it can't solve for building parties the grassroots way. It can't solve for increasing memberships. It can't solve for winning elections, in my opinion.
At what cost, Jordan, in the end?
Well, and look, I think in the end, Prince Edward Island is a bit of a different beast where you can actually go to the grocery store and put your hands on your MLA and basically tell them what is important to you. And I've lived that, and I can tell you that you don't get that everywhere else. In fact, everybody else is gobsmacked at the level of accessibility. So there's no clear answer to this question. There's not on Prince Edward Island. And, I think it's just something that is going to evolve over the course of time. We're going to have to keep an eye on.
Very quickly, Darren, please.
The Green Party still gets the opportunity to further the debate of proportional representation. And I think that that's important to note, Anna, and I think that you must be pleased that you still have 2 members of caucus still standing to be able to fight that kind of fight should they choose.
And our panel are not recommending putting your hands on your local MLA, Louise.
Well, we all had a good laugh at that line, Jordan Brown, former Liberal MLA. But it is part of for those of our viewers and listeners outside of Prince Edward Island, he's not wrong. I mean, we're not walking around putting our hands on our MLAs at grocery stores, but they're certainly far more accessible. So the job is different in a smaller place where you have more accessibility.
Well, that's why we get in trouble a lot of times, because historically MLAs have positioned themselves as being able to do things like deliver a government job, or the access is unlike any other jurisdiction. I would caution any of the opposition parties who may want to promote proportional representation coming out of this election. There are far more important issues, and I would support proportional representation, but we have to get healthcare fixed. We have to get inflation under control. There are a lot of Islanders hurting right now, and they don't want to hear an esoteric argument from an opposition party.
Okay, we're waiting the Green Party leader. As you can see at the bottom of your screen, we're waiting Peter Bevan Baker to arrive at Trailside in downtown Charlottetown. We do have results now in one of the districts we're waiting on, and that is District 1. And we can tell you that Robin Croucher, the PC candidate there, has been elected. So this was Colin Levy was the MLA in this district. He was PC. He did not reoffer, citing some anxiety. We had a conversation about that. He was quite emotional that he was not running, and I'm sure emotional tonight watching these results. So Robin Croucher came up to run for the PCs, and he has taken Surrey Elmira. Not a surprise that it would go blue, but Paul, you and I talked about this, and Kerry, we had discussions about Amber Dennis, the Liberal candidate, saying, I want to be the voice for Surrey Elmira. I want to be the loud one. But that's not the case tonight. Green coming in second, and the PCs being elected there.
Well, it's the strength of the Tories in Eastern PEI. No real surprise that the Conservatives have won this riding. Interesting that the Greens did come up strong second. So that, that's something to build on anyway. And if you're looking for optimism, you need it.
That's right. And speaking of optimism, Peter Bevan Baker, this will be mixed emotions, I'm sure, for the Green Party leader tonight, because he won his seat. But his party is much smaller, much fewer seats in the PEI legislature this time around after that historic win. Let's not forget what he did to the Green Party. It was national news in the last election. A Green opposition, the first Green opposition in Canada, first winning a seat back in 2015, leading the Greens to official opposition status in 2019. Tonight, the Green Party leader winning his seat. The Liberal leader, defeating the Liberal leader who ran, and the PC candidate, but 2 seats right now. I think we're still waiting on District 25, but it's what's going through the Green Party leader's mind right now, Kerry? I mean, we can't get inside his mind, but what would you be feeling? Oh, babies,
You know,
babies.
Well, wait, and we'll let him describe that.
Baby. I think that's his grandchild.
I know 4 years ago when, there had been speculation heading into that election, maybe there could be a Green government. There was a lot of interest from across Canada.
Yeah.
And so I think a lot of people, if they're just catching up tonight, are wondering more about what happened. Paul talked about it briefly before, but...
Let's listen to Wayne here.
My grandson, which, I mean, that was always the motivation for me being in politics, so it feels right to be here with him. I'm very, very sad at losing some fine MLAs. Relieved that I managed to keep my own seat, but that's a small solace in what's been a very difficult night. Yeah.
What happens to your leadership?
Oh, I think it's too early to answer that question, Wayne. I need to absorb this a little bit and think for a little while. But I mean, obviously there will be questions about that, as there should be. But I won't be making any announcements on that tonight.
What do you say to the candidates, those who are not successful tonight?
Well, I'm going to get to the stage and give a speech and mention them in my remarks.
All right, we'll let you get to it.
Yeah,
thank you.
That's Wayne Thibodeau. He's live at Green Party headquarters. So there you can tell it's an emotional night for Green Party leader Peter Bevan Baker. Very, very sad. His words with the loss of some key Green Green Party members, and we do have a final result for you now in 25. So we can confirm the decision desk that it will be a Liberal opposition this time in the P.E.I. legislature. So a PC majority government with 22, the Liberals with 3, the Greens with 2, and it will be a Liberal opposition. How does this change the dynamic in the legislature?
You know what? I think if you're a Liberal, you're breathing a big sigh of relief because there was fears that you could be wiped out.
Okay, we're gonna, Peter Bevan Baker's just coming up to the podium. We'll talk more about what this all means, but let's listen in live. Peter Bevan Baker, emotional, sad at losing some of his Green Party colleagues, his caucus members tonight, being diminished to 2 seats in the legislature, but still in the legislature. Here he is live tonight.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Bonsoir, Kwe, good evening, everyone. It's really lovely to see you. I just left Clyde River, a room full of my close supporters, and Tate Willows, who of course ran in District 16, and her family and many of her supporters, and it's lovely to come here and to see you all. Thank you for coming. Particularly lovely to see Freddie. That was little Freddie I had in my arms. I mean, this is a difficult night for us, and let's not pretend otherwise. I'm most sad about losing some tremendous colleagues with whom I've worked over the last 4 years. There have never been harder working, kinder, more dedicated, smarter MLAs than the Green MLAs who will not be returning to the House. And that makes me extraordinarily sad. Sad for them, sad for their constituents, sad for our legislature, because they were such an enormous asset, and I will miss them tremendously. So tonight, I'm thinking first and foremost and most poignantly about Michelle, about Lynn, about Trish, and about Steve, who, again, put their heart and soul into their life as an MLA, and that was reflected in their constituency work. It was reflected in how they were connected to their communities. It was reflected in their committee work. Oh my goodness, when I think about all of the fantastic things they did. And of course, the legislation that they brought forward, all 4 of them in the House, and they will be greatly missed by me. But again, more importantly, it is such a loss to this island. Thank you to them all. I love you all, and I will miss you. And of course, I will continue to see them and seek their counsel and be their friend and hug them and meet them for lunch and know that they are deep Green to their core and will always be connected to this party. And I suspect we will not have seen the last of any of those wonderful human beings. Yeah. I want to thank all of the Islanders who put their trust in the Green Party and our candidates in order to be their voice in the legislature. We always were, and we will continue to be, Carla and I, committed to you every day to raise the issues that are important to you and to make sure that the Dennis King government works for you and for our future generations. We promise that to you. Oh, I'm looking out at so many lovely friends and faces, and I'm just so touched that you're all here tonight. I just looked up there and saw a couple of people I didn't notice the first time. Thank you all for being here. Islanders have given Dennis King a second chance to lead this province, and I want to extend and have extended my congratulations to Premier-elect Dennis King. I phoned him about half an hour ago, and the Progressive Conservative Party on their tremendous victory tonight. Islanders have put their trust in you, Dennis, and I also want to express my gratitude to the other party leaders in this campaign, to Michelle and Sharon. Thank you for stepping up and doing what is an incredibly difficult job, and you did it with commitment, and you did it with enthusiasm. I spoke with Michelle a little earlier. I haven't had a chance to speak with Sharon yet, but I'm sure I will before the night's out. As I said a few minutes ago, these are not the results that we had hoped for tonight. But I can tell you they do not in any way dampen my resolve, nor the resolve of those people whom I am blessed to work with, to continue doing work.
We're going to say goodbye to our viewers across the country who've been watching on CBC News Network. We appreciate you following along tonight. We continue on CBC TV, on P.E.I. and online.
I want to thank all of the volunteers who put in hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of hours over the course of this campaign, getting out there, speaking to Islanders about the issues that matter to them, sharing the green vision for Prince Edward Island, and being engaged in our communities. Being part of the democratic process and mobilizing for change to make this island the place that we love so much, an even better place than it already is extremely important work and extremely gratifying work, and it's been the privilege of my life to be able to do that for the last 8 years. And to all of the candidates who put their names forward, whether that was for the Green Party or any of the other parties, thank you. It's not an easy thing to do. It takes a lot of guts to put your name on the ballot, and democracy simply would not function without you. So thank you all for stepping up. Again, Greens and others. I have a particular, as I've already said, particular amount of gratitude to Michelle Beaton, to Lynn Lund, to Trish Altus, and to Steve Howard for being there beside me and with me and behind me, and Carla, and Ola, of course, and Hannah over the last 4 years. And over that time, I witnessed our caucus grow and mature and into an incredibly effective opposition. And I'm just so incredibly proud of the work that we have done over the last 4 years. We held government accountable in a very, very strong way. And we also got some incredibly innovative things done to improve life here on Prince Edward Island. And you know what? We'll continue to do that. We started as a party of one, and then there were 2 of us, and I can tell you, we did some pretty cracking things when there were just 2 of us. So, Carla, you and me. Our province, of course, faces some very considerable challenges over the next 4 years. Our healthcare system is on the verge of collapse with frequent hospital closures and healthcare workers leaving the province or leaving their profession, and a public that is finding it increasingly difficult to access the care where they need it and when they need it. Housing is the most unaffordable it has ever been here on Prince Edward Island. And just this week, we heard of seniors who are seeing rent increase notices of 35% or more. We're not building new housing quick enough to make a dent in this housing crisis that we are facing. We're going to continue experiencing the growing impacts of climate change, whether that's drought events, which have a severe impact on our agricultural community, and of course our tourism and our fishing as well, or whether it's severe weather events like Hurricane Fiona. With an increasing and diverse population here on Prince Edward Island, we have to be vigilant. We have to keep doing the work. We have to stand up and to be there and make sure that our province is a safe place where people feel safe and they feel secure and they are free from hate and that they are accepted for exactly who they are. It was lovely to walk into this room, but it was almost equally lovely to walk into the drag show next door. And to be cheered and to be hugged and to be acknowledged that the Green Party has stood up for that community and that we have been there and we have spoken out, that we have done the work in the legislature, that we have always been there, including there for the Trans March yesterday. And I'm so proud of our party for doing that. So proud. So it falls to Dennis King to fix all of these issues. But this is going to require significantly more dedication and much better results than we've seen from his first term in office. And believe me, the Greens are going to be there every step of the way, holding his feet to the fire, because Islanders cannot afford another 4 years of inaction. We are entering, obviously, a new chapter in the story and the development of the Island Green Party. And we will continue to serve Islanders, even in our new role, as it appears to be, as third party. We've been there before. We made the most of it. We did some stellar work, and we will continue to do that. And I have no doubt that Carla and I will continue to work hard and to make a difference in the lives of all Islanders. Personally, I've been the leader of this party now for over a decade, and with tonight's results, of course, there will be questions about my leadership. I've already been asked one on the way in by Wayne Thibodeau. And I need time to absorb what happened today. I need time to consider what the next steps are for me, but I will do that, and I can assure you that I will be thinking about that and have something to say about it within the very near future. I want to thank everybody again for being here tonight, for everybody who helped on the campaign. I must particularly say hi and thank you to my darling, wonderful, amazing, kind wife, Anne, who is sitting back there. For those of you who know Anne, you will be aware that it's not hyperbole when I say that Anne is the kindest person I have ever met in my life, and how lucky am I to be married to her. And I can tell you that for the last month, dating has consisted of sitting in a crowded, smelly, muddy car, driving up lanes of District 17 and beyond, and ticking names off on boxes and trying to grab a bite to eat whenever we can. That's what dating looks like when you are an MLA. And thank you so much. Thank you does not even cut it. I love you so much. Thank you. And finally, thank you once again to all of you here tonight and to all Islanders who put your X next to the Green Party on a ballot today on Prince Edward Island and in the advance polls. I promise we will continue to work hard for you and we will not let you down. Thank you. Walalio. Merci. Thank you.
Sharon Cameron is there.
That is Green Party leader Peter Bevan-Baker. You know, a big loss for his Green Party this evening. He was re-elected in his district, so hangs on to his seat, hangs on to, right now, the leadership of the party, but he was asked briefly by Wayne Thibodeau earlier about, you know, what is next for his leadership. He said very clearly there, I need some time to digest this. He's just lost some key members of his caucus, friends, he said. You could tell he was emotional when talking about the losses to the Green Party tonight. But as I mentioned, hangs on to his seat. So some of the questions that we would put to him, hopefully soon, we're trying to get a quick little interview with Peter Bevan-Baker, is how do you rebuild? Where did things go wrong? And then, of course, the future of his leadership. Does he wear this? Does he accept that this is partly his responsibility in these election results tonight? So your final numbers are PC 22, 3 for the Liberals, 2 for the Green Party of P.E.I. The Liberals will be the official opposition when the legislature resumes. So it is, we still have 3 parties in the legislature, which there was some question that we might not have 3 parties. So that's, I think, a win for democracy in terms of the makeup of the legislature.
I think it's a fine legislature. You know, the Greens will obviously be upset that they lost the opposition, and the Libs will be very happy. The Libs had a terrible night. I mean, their popular vote is the lowest it's ever been.
17%.
17%,
Yeah.
unheard of. But they have three returning MLAs who all used their personal capital to get elected, and that's what saved that party's bacon tonight. Gary can talk about the results riding by riding.
Well, let's talk about the other loss tonight. That is voter turnout. Voter turnout, 68.5%.
Yeah, that is the worst on record going back to 1966 and probably further back. And it's the worst by almost 10 points. I think the worst we had before was 76%. 68% voter turnout is something that all Islanders should be concerned about, because we pride ourselves anything below 80. There are stories from the last election about, wow, you know, another turnout. There were like 3 on record that were below 80%. Now we're below 70%. This is not anywhere we ever wanted to dip below.
Yeah, so that's a story going forward, I think. I'm just going to read quickly. The Prime Minister sent in a statement, so I'll read this. I need my glasses for this one. The Prime Minister today issued the following statement. On behalf of the Government of Canada, I congratulate Dennis King and the Progressive Conservative Party of Prince Edward Island on their re-election. I look forward to continuing to work with Premier King and the provincial government to build stronger communities and make progress on issues of importance to people in the province and across the country. He says, together we will work to grow the economy, create good middle-class jobs, improve access to quality health care, accelerate the fight against climate change, and make life more affordable, including by working toward $10 a day childcare on average in the province by the end of the year. So that is from Prime Minister Justin Trudeau, who, I mean, you know, Liberal Party federally, Progressive Conservative provincially, they got along really well, and really the PCs here distanced themselves from the federal Conservatives.
Well, they did until some tapes were released.
Well, we'll see where that goes, Paul.
It sort of sounded like something. Look, yeah, the Prime Minister and Dennis King has been a supporter of the federal government because he's seen an opportunity to become early adopters to a whole bunch of these funding mechanisms, and he's taken advantage of it, and it's played into his personal narrative.
All right, we have now a guest to welcome to our election program tonight, and that is Green Party leader Peter Bevan-Baker, live tonight at the Trailside. Peter, nice to see you. Oh, we're just finishing getting all wired up there. I know, it's like you're an air traffic controller. It's okay, live TV.
Yeah.
Are you good? Can you hear me okay?
I can hear you fine, Louise. Can you hear me all right?
I can hear you just fine, sir. Thanks first and foremost for taking the time to chat with us on what must be a very, very emotional evening for you.
Oh, yes. Yeah, absolutely. The overwhelming emotion is one of sadness, of disappointment. But, in time, politics is a roller coaster, whether you look at it on a daily basis or through the course of a sitting of a legislature or an election cycle. So, this is a difficult moment for the Island Green Party. I absolutely understand that. But, we will come back. I'm strong. I have very strong sense that this party has established itself on the political landscape here on P.E.I, and there are so many good people gathered around, and we will be back.
Okay,
We're still here.
You're still here, you and Carla Bernard, the Green team. So how do you rebuild then? How you say you want to rebuild, you will rebuild. How do you do that?
Yeah, well, I think there was never any question of the quality of our candidates in terms of the work that we did in the legislature or our worthiness to be there. What we did not manage to accomplish between the last election and this one was to establish that ground game that so many people speak of. Now, without making excuses, COVID really made it literally impossible to be out there in our communities, and the only way you can build a political party is in face-to-face communications with Islanders in every community. And we had a lot of community forums. We had many instances when we did get into communities, but it was too little, too late. And I think beyond what Carla and I are going to have to accomplish in the legislature and fulfilling our obligations as MLAs and as the third party, job number one for the party beyond that is going to be building up that structure within the party to make sure that we are competitive at the grassroots level, which is such a critical part of winning elections.
So what went wrong with this election beyond what you just mentioned? Is there something that you can reflect on that you would have done differently that you think could have made a difference tonight?
That's hard to say. I really feel that we ran a first-class campaign. I think our platform was wonderful. I think the quality of our candidates was second to none. I think we ran an incredibly organized and professional campaign. So I'm not so sure it was anything that we did wrong, rather than just one of those moments in the political cycle where there is a wave of one color or another. I mean, you see it all the time at a provincial and federal level. And good people get swept aside and parties get drowned asunder. And that's kind of what it feels like tonight, that there was just this big blue wave. And I'm not sure there's anything that we could have done different or that could have perhaps changed that.
4 years ago, this was such a different conversation we were having with you, and that was, record. It was historical. The whole country was watching as a Green Party became the official opposition for the first time. And so to go from that high to really a low to tonight. And I know you mentioned leadership, so I won't ask you to make a call here live on our show tonight, but when you say you need to reflect before deciding what your future looks like as the leader of the party, what can you give me an insight into that? What do you need to reflect on now over the next coming days that's going to give you your eureka moment about your political future as the leader?
Yeah, I mean, obviously the results of the election will be first and foremost in that, and that's the most tangible evidence of whether you are a leader who is doing your job. And I feel that the Islanders said, no, we do not want the Green Party. This was, in my mind, a missed opportunity for the island to be a model of what it looks like to live well in the 21st century. And whether I did not articulate that well enough, whether I did not gather enough people around, and whether it is that ground game that we lost. I mean, as leader, you have to take responsibility for better or worse. When things go well, you can cheer along and enjoy the moment. But equally, when things don't go well, as they have not done today, you have to be responsible for that to a certain extent. So I just need to. It's such an emotional day today. And it's such a difficult day. I mean, I haven't even spoken to any of the 4 incumbent MLAs who are no longer going to go back to the legislature, and knowing just how dedicated they were to their work and how much they loved their job and their constituents, and just they could not have worked any harder. I need to have conversations with people like that. I mean, so much of politics is about maintaining good relations with the people around you, and so I need to do a little bit of introspective thinking, but I also need to speak to the people around me before I make a decision like this.
Okay, and I guess a critical conversation with Carla Bernard, the other elected Green Party member this evening. So I appreciate your time, Peter Bevan-Baker. Congratulations on winning your seat. I'm sorry that your party didn't fare as well as you'd hoped tonight.
Thank you for your kind words, Louise. I'm sure we'll see each other very soon.
I'm sure we will. Thank you very much. That is Green Party leader Peter Bevan-Baker, re-elected tonight in District 17. It was a tight race for most of the night. So having heard the words from the Green Party leader, let's check in with our insider panel in the lobby now, Mitch Cormier.
And, well, we'll start with Anna Keen and your reaction to the words of Peter Bevan-Baker.
Well, he's doing what I expected him to do, which is, not to react. Peter is very measured, and he takes a lot of time to make good decisions, and so I didn't expect him to make a decision on his leadership tonight. I think he will take time to reflect. I hope that the time that he takes to reflect includes listening to the people closest to him and his strongest supporters, as well as people who might be more critical of his leadership, so he can take that into consideration. And if he chooses to stay on, there will be a leadership review vote within 6 months. So that's part of what happens in the Green Party of P.E.I. I did really appreciate him acknowledging something that I think we've been talking about while we've been off air, which is the need for a political party to develop a ground game. I think the official opposition has been incredible with their focus on external public-facing policy. 18 acts in opposition, or acts to amend. Hannah Bell brought forward 7 of those herself, acts to amend the Innovation Act. They were really broader than just environment. There was economy, there was social justice, there was gender relations, all of these diverse issues that have really made a difference in the lives of islanders. But I'm not sure that excellent policy work has been really communicated to the public in an effective way, and I think we're seeing the results of that tonight.
Jordan?
Yeah, I'll just maybe pick up where Anna left off. I mean, having said that, I'm not sure that the Greens fully get what it takes to be successful as a political party on Prince Edward Island right now, and I think they're learning that lesson here tonight. And we came into tonight, by the way, I may win my office poll here. We came into tonight, thinking that we were already having a successful night. Of course, we would have loved to have seen Sharon win her seat. We did know that it was probably a long shot, and Sharon knew that when she took that challenge on. But, I think she would feel great about tonight. It is a successful night, I think, in the party's eyes. I would rather be here than I would be where we were in 2019 or in the Green shoes. And I think we have a lot that we can build on. So sorry, Paul, I disagree with you. No shock. I think you go forward from here. We're opposition. That's a lot to look forward to, and it is a big job.
But let's be clear. The real winner here tonight, in many ways, is Premier King and the PCs. The fact is that we can pretty much foretell the next 6 to 12 months of Paul McNeil's columns are going to be filled with manifestations of what happens inside the Green and the Liberal Party. And I think it does provide Premier King an opportunity to get down to the serious business of solving some significant issues that we face here in Prince Edward Island. And I'll have the popcorn ready quite soon to be watching.
All right. Louise, back to you. I know we're waiting on, I believe it is Dennis King, right?
Yes, we believe that the Premier, he has arrived at the Delta. He's probably meandering his way through. But Steve Bruce, hot from Compass earlier tonight, anchoring the local news, is now live at the Delta, where he's standing with newly elected PC candidate Rob Lance for District 13, Charlottetown-Brighton.
Yeah, that's right. Rob, one of the several new PC MLAs that are making their way into the Delta, along with several supporters as they wait for Dennis King to get through here and to the podium to make his speech to supporters. But Rob, if you go back to 8 years ago, you lost your seat. You were the leader of the PC party, lost that seat. Not a great night for the PCs. Contrast that with tonight and the success you've seen?
Well, I wouldn't say it wasn't a great night for the PCs in 2015. It was a bad night for me personally. I think the party took some strides forward. For me, you know, I've gone off and done some really interesting things over the past 8 years. It was a difficult decision for me to jump back into politics, but I'm glad I did. And yeah, tonight's a different night than it was in 2015 for me, for sure. Yeah.
How do you explain your personal success in this election in your district?
Well, you know, timing is everything in politics. You know, I just said to some people, I'm just riding Denny King's coattails coming in here. Frankly, I was just very satisfied that I was able to run a complete campaign in my district. I covered the district entirely. I had an excellent campaign team. We did everything right. We made up for some mistakes we made in 2015, and I just was not concerned about what the outcome was. I was just happy that we were able to do things right. I was willing to accept whatever happened. Obviously, this is a great outcome for me and for the party, and so I'm pleased.
And how about the party's success overall to have this big majority now? How do you explain that success?
Well, it's not a surprise to anyone, really. The polls indicated something like this was probable, but more importantly, I was hearing it at people's doors. Not only were we hearing the same issues repeated over and over at the doors, what I was hearing quite often was that people were satisfied with the Dennis King PC government, that they liked Dennis King personally. I heard that a lot. And so the outcome is not a surprise, I don't think. As I said, timing's everything, and Dennis King, I think, really pulled us along.
Well, listen, we'll let you go celebrate.
Yeah, thanks. Thanks very much.
And as I say, just waiting on Dennis King to arrive here now. A lot of supporters here are waiting for that as well, Louise. So we'll come back here as soon as Dennis King arrives.
Okay, so not quite there yet, but we do appreciate your time with newly elected PC MLA Rob Lance. Of course, much different than the interview Kerry Campbell did with Rob Lance back in 2015.
You
know what?
Me. It was Bruce Rainey, our host, speaking to him with the headset on.
I'm just going to interrupt you for a moment because I think we have Sharon Cameron now speaking. Yes, let's go and listen into the Liberal leader live tonight. Sharon Cameron.
Speech, and I know I'm really happy to be here tonight, and it's been an amazing journey, and I have some things that I want to say to all of you, and I just came from District 17, and I think, you know, the thing that I'm most grateful for is that we're back, and and you know what? So, and here's a funny little story. So through all of this, so I didn't run in my district, but I did in District 16 back in the nomination. But here's what I found out. Not only have I made new friends, my husband found family out in South Melville and Riverdale that he didn't even know he had. So not only friends, but family. So to each and every one of you, and from the bottom of my heart, thank you so much. It's fair to say that this is not the night we hoped for when the campaign began. But going into this election, we all knew it was going to be really, really hard. And you know what? That didn't stop a wonderful slate of candidates and hundreds of Islanders from working so hard on our Liberal campaign and putting health care first. Yes. And I hope to God the PCs use our platform. I hope to God. That work, that dedication is our true foundation, and it is upon your commitment that the Liberal Party will build for the future. We're going to continue on. Speaking personally, it has been a true highlight of my life to meet so many fine Islanders and to work with our candidates and our team. Thank you. To our candidates, it was great getting to know you. I'm so impressed with the team that we put together. It was awesome. I regret that Islanders didn't have a better chance to get to know you. Snap election. I know that many of you will succeed at this in the future. Keep the faith, because we're going to talk about where we go from here. Thank you. We knew going into this was going to be a major challenge, but that didn't seem to matter. What mattered was this: our democratic traditions, our faith in a great Liberal history, a deep attachment to the community, and an underlying belief in our island's future. That's inspiration, that's the spirit that will guide our future, and the Liberal path forward must always be drawn with that future in focus. Thank you. So tonight I would like to congratulate all of those who were successful, including our Hal and our Rob and our Gord. Yay! And guess what, guys? You're now official opposition. Woo! That's awesome. I wish you well as you lead our province in the coming years. To my riding association, I was just with them. They're amazing, amazing people, and we've had so much fun. And they adopted me, and I just love that. I thank them so much for everything they've done, from the riding and the sandwiches and putting up the signs and the stolen signs and replacing the signs. And by the way, you do know this is the funniest story ever. So my big 4x8 sign got stolen off someone's lawn. And Pat Murphy called me and said, Sharon, did you know that your big sign is up here in Alberton? And I said, no, and he goes, you and your sign are on the move. Ultimately, it was you, your warmth and support that led me to decide to run in New Haven Rocky Point. Thanks to each and every one of you. To the voters in New Haven Rocky Point, thank you for the warm reception. It was wonderful. In every conversation, whether you were a supporter or not, I felt your kindness, and I thank each and every one of you. There may be some difficult days ahead for our province, but tonight let's just celebrate our democracy, the will of the people, and that elections will never be scarred with acrimony and bitterness. And we have a slate of candidates, and I've always said, that represented diversity and the new island. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. I'm so proud, and I think, you know, the slate of candidates and our platform, we have every reason to be proud of all the work we did. I'll deal with questions of what happened. 4 months would have been great. 6 months, you know. Tonight is about celebrating our candidates, the progress that we made together, and we have made progress, and let's not lose sight of that. In 4 short months, we rebuilt the party, improved our finances, created the single best platform in this campaign focused on the issue of the day. Healthcare. And I'm going to tell you something, I'm still going to be a pain in the ass. I'll be there pain in the ass from somewhere, but I will be a pain in the ass. I believe this is the fundamental and historic challenge now facing this province. And you know what? It's about the seniors who've gone 6 to 7 months years without a doctor. It's about our businesses that can't recruit people here because people are saying, I can't get a place to live and I can't get a doctor. This is huge, so we better make them pay attention, and we'll help our opposition make sure they do. We modernized our approach to policy and politics. We attracted fabulous candidates. We'll be much, much stronger as we move toward 2027. I think we're up to it. I think you're up to it. And I know this province will expect a modern, responsive, and intelligent perspective on a world that is changing so rapidly. Island Liberals can provide that. Again, it's been an honor and a privilege. A truly magnificent experience from the time we were in Red Shores, Red Sands in Surrey, camping till Jacques Cartier Park. And I do look forward to better days that lie ahead. Thank you. I love you all. Thank you so much.
All right, that is Liberal leader Sharon Cameron speaking to supporters at Liberal headquarters. Of course, they're official opposition, so she's taking that as a win. But Sharon Cameron herself did not win her seat tonight. So her future remains in question. She didn't really go into any details about that. They are down 1 seat and down about 10% in terms of the vote share. So not a good night overall for the Liberals, but they did maintain 3 of their elected MLAs, so 3 incumbents back for the Liberal Party. That could have gone very differently. So the fact that they were able to hold on, but they weren't able to make any gains. And Sharon Cameron, the Liberal leader, running against the Green Party leader, who did win tonight. And a lot of people question that strategy, and I wonder if that'll be a part of the question and the leadership review going forward about that strategy.
It's an awful night for the Liberals historically. It's their lowest ever voter turnout. The vote cratered across the province, except in 3 ridings where 3 strong candidates managed to get enough votes. Rob Henderson in 25 ran on Rob for the job. I mean, he ran away from the Liberal campaign. But the prominence of having the official opposition status and being in the House will allow the party to, potentially grow. But we'll see. If they think they're coming out of this night in a better shape, they're delusional.
But taking the win where they can get it, because it is a bad night. They know it's a bad night, but the official opposition status is something, Cameron
It is,
mentioned.
and it's kind of what they said that they were running for.
Yeah, it was the fight for second place.
It's a difficult road ahead for Sharon Cameron, not having won her seat. We talked about Rob Lance trying to be the leader of the official opposition from outside the rail. It just wasn't tenable in his case. It may prove the same here. The only other Liberal leader who didn't win their seat, certainly who never ended up winning their seat, was Wayne Carew, I think, in the history of the party. And if you look at that Green Liberal showdown, you look at some of the numbers behind it, that's a very slim margin of victory there for the Liberals in terms of 3 seats over 2. You look at the percentages on the screen right now, you see the Greens actually won the popular vote, 22% to the Liberals, 17%. Also, the Greens came in second place in 18 districts compared to the Liberals in 5, or 3 rather. So, it's not all seemed to be settled there.
All right. Sharon Cameron, Liberal leader, is actually standing by. She's going to have a chat with us now, live from Liberal headquarters. Sharon Cameron, thanks for taking time to chat with us tonight.
Hi, thank you for having me.
The old terrible question I'm going to ask you to start. How are you feeling? This is a bad night overall for the Liberals.
Oh, listen, I think it's a very disappointing night, but it's a step in the process of rebuilding the party. So we're committed and we're going to keep going.
So rebuilding the party, is that with or without you as the leader of the Liberal Party?
I think we need to take some time to think about all of this, to analyze the results, and to kind of decide where to from here. But I think we need to kind of determine what next steps are through some discussion. So I can't answer that right now, but I know we want to keep moving.
You and I spoke, we did our year-end interview, and by that point you had said you were going to be running against Peter Bevan-Baker, the Green Party leader in District 17, and that was a strategy that you chose, that the party chose. Was that a bad strategy upon reflection now? Did it backfire on you?
No, I don't think so. I think, so first of all, people have been talking about convention. I'd say that's an old boys convention that probably was developed years ago to protect each other. So when you're talking about matters of life and death and serious matters like health care, I was ready to take on a big battle, and I didn't want to talk out of both sides of my mouth. And I always felt the opposition didn't focus on their opposition job. So I took the battle right to District 17. And, it didn't pay off tonight, but we'll just see what the future holds, and we'll keep moving.
Well, and you spoke a lot about this. You spoke about this at the debate and during the campaign about the need for strong opposition. You must be taking that as a win tonight, that the Liberal Party is the official opposition.
Absolutely. You take the wins where you can get them, and you build on those, Louise. So we're really happy about that. Yes, absolutely.
So tell me about that opposition. You've got Gord McNeely, Hal Perry, and Robert Henderson back in the House. What kind of opposition will they be, do you think, in your opinion?
Well, I think they've got their feet back in the opposition table. They'll ask the hard questions. They'll ask, what is the plan for health care? What is the plan for that extra $50 million? What is the vision? What are the accountabilities that you're going to build in place? They will truly keep this government's feet to the fire and ask those hard questions. And we just always felt that the opposition lost focus, and they might have passed 18 pieces of legislation, but I think only 2 or 3 of them were healthcare related. So they lost focus on a situation that put us into a dire situation in 4 years. And these are seasoned politicians. They know how to do opposition, and they will do it, and I have every confidence they will. And they'll have all kinds of support out here to help them do that.
Of course, hindsight is 2020, but take me through the campaign, and perhaps maybe, and I asked Peter Bevan-Baker this because, you know, the question now is, could you have done something differently during the campaign that you would have seen a different result tonight for the Liberal Party of P.E.I.?
So, Louise, I think the way I'd have to answer that is to back up to the summer. The party imploded, as you know, and we've talked about that in 2019. So we were rebuilding. We were firing up districts, we were finding candidates, and I would go back and say Dennis King called a snap election at a time when he wanted political gain, not at a time when he should have been planning for health care, looking at the economy, the population strategy. So he got the result that he counted on. So I don't think we could have done anything differently. I think we had all of those tasks to do. Had we had until the set election date in October, the result might have been very different. But I think, you know, I'm not going to take away from the success that I really believe we had. I think we did an awesome job. We have a wonderful slate of diverse candidates that represents P.E.I. And I will stand by, and a platform that's economically sound, and a platform that's, you know, responsible, and it's a really good plan, and it's well thought out. So I'm really proud of everything we accomplished, and I would say if Dennis King really wanted health care to succeed, he would use our platform and make it happen.
Liberal leader Sharon Cameron, really appreciate your time tonight. Thank you so much.
Thanks to everyone. Thank you very much.
All right. That is Liberal leader Sharon Cameron, who did not win her seat tonight in the election, and so didn't want to answer questions about her political future. But, you know, a lot of people are asking, what does that political future look like? Let's go to our panel in the foyer in the CBC lobby. You know, I'm curious, Mitch, you know, what Jordan Brown has to say about this, the party leader not getting a seat and not answering questions about what her future might look like with the party.
Well, I can tell you Jordan Brown was looking at that speech from the podium thinking, where was that leader throughout the last 28 days? Jordan, your reaction to what Sharon Cameron had to say tonight?
Yeah, so that was her best speech, I think, of the campaign. And, you know, look, I think it's tough for somebody that's not been immersed in this world to kind of jump in and hit the treadmill at 10 to get ramped up. You know, look, I do take a lot of great things out of this election. You look back to 2003, there were 7 Liberals that ran and were not elected that were then elected in 2007. And that doesn't count George Webster, who had lost a nomination, was elected. So, you know, I think there's lots of potential. Of course, it's not a night without its disappointment, but you know, I think there is lots to look forward to, and we do have a seasoned group that I'm sure will do their utmost to hold the government to account.
I think what's most interesting from the comments of Ms. Cameron is she does not appear to be somebody who's going to walk away easily.
Well, interestingly, too, I mean, there's a lot that's yet to go on here, but including picking a cabinet. I think there'll be a lot of reflection as the week moves along. And I think, you know, Paul said knives will be coming out. I'm not saying that the Liberal knives are long by any means. I think we're on the upward swing. I'd rather be us right now than a lot of other parties, not to point any fingers. And I think Denny King's got a tough job himself to try and sort out and be referee amongst the crowd that he's got there. So,
well, Anna Keenan, where does the Green Party go from here? Where do things go starting tomorrow morning?
Well, I hope that one of the first things that happens, especially with the majority that Dennis King has, is that he reaches out to the leaders of the two other parties and says, give me your top policy priorities, because I know that the Green platform on healthcare and on housing in particular, these two issues that have been escalating problems over the last 2 or 3 different administrations on P.E.I, Liberal and Conservative. The Green work on those files has been absolutely exemplary, and I think that Greens would do very well to be able to provide those ideas. That's what I think a strong opposition is, not just criticism, but offering ideas and saying, these are your blind spots. This is the information that you need. So I hope that legislative effort is there. The Green Party also needs to regroup, needs to do the reflection and learn and say, where did we go wrong here? How could we have done better? How do we improve and really take lessons from this to solidify our place in island politics?
And while it all may look good from a PC party point of view, Darren, when we looked at the numbers tonight, the voter turnout down 10%, when Kerry shared those numbers, you said we all have to share in that number.
Well, listen, there's a responsibility on political parties to attract new people and to encourage people to exercise their franchise. And clearly, if there's anything that we can take away tonight, is that all parties need to do a better job of it. I think with respect to Anna's comments on collaboration, I'll go back to my initial comments earlier. I think that we're uniquely positioned with Premier King to collaborate with the opposition parties in trying to best serve the interests of Islanders over the next 4 years.
And we now await those words of Premier King coming up shortly, Louise.
Okay, yes, thanks, Mitch Cormier. Where you can see at the bottom of your screen, we are waiting for Dennis King, Premier Dennis King, to arrive at the Delta to make that speech. And just while we're doing that, someone will let me know when we have eyes on Dennis King. But Anna Keenan talking about going to the leaders of the other parties and saying, how do we look at policy? We talk about collaboration. What are the chances that Dennis King goes to?
He may go through the motions, but he's not going to go deep into it. I mean, Dennis King, healthcare, it's interesting because if you look at the Tory platform, there is no vision for healthcare. There's a whole bunch of promises, but there's no vision, for instance, on how to hire people for 30 medical homes. So he's got a lot of challenges coming up.
I mean, you saw that collaboration wane after the by-elections and giving them a small majority government. Now they have a good majority right out of the gate. Yeah. So how much collaboration are we actually going to see?
Well, we didn't hear that word collaboration for probably about a 2-year period.
We heard it a lot in the beginning.
Oh, God, we heard it so much. We never wanted to hear it again. And so the consulting with the other parties on budget, throne speech, things like that, I hadn't heard of that before the King government brought that in. Now, in the minority days, they needed support to pass their budget and their throne speech. As they didn't need that anymore, I know the opposition parties, I think they felt that their input wasn't quite getting as far as it did in the budgetary process, for example. But there were still elements that were always being incorporated. And I think that's the one thing we learned about Dennis King is he does take in ideas and incorporate those. We talked about medical homes before being one of those. I think another thing that the Green Party did, to the credit of the Greens and the PCs, is they made this PC government very much aware and focused, it seems, on climate change as a pressing matter. I don't think you see that in the 2019 platform the PCs put forward, but I think because the Greens were in there and because in the early days it was a minority government and lots of other reasons too, storms like Fiona and things like that, but I think we saw that shift.
I'm sorry, I said collaborative funny because that was a difficult word for me to say for a while.
That was a painful word for a while.
So anyway, the bus has pulled up, we're told, the big bus that's been making its rounds across P.E.I for this election. And I believe we're just waiting for him to get off the bus. I keep scouting around, thinking I'll just see him pop out of nowhere. I think there'll be a bigger hullabaloo when he actually enters the room. I think there was a bagpiper there for the candidates coming in. Well, I heard.
I would guess there is. To collaboration, Dennis King's biggest challenge is he has 21 other MLAs who all are going to bring their local issues, are all going to bring their own priorities. So it'll be far easier for the Premier to talk to those MLAs than to reach across the aisle.
Oh, there he is. He's coming in now, I believe. And there. Yep. Okay. So, and we just quickly, the health minister was reelected, by the way. So, I mean, that's the other. We talked about healthcare really not showing its stain on the party for this election, and certainly with Ernie Hudson being reelected, that's the same.
Well, that's what you heard from candidates. Is everyone's concerned about health care, but Dennis King isn't wearing the troubles.
I'm with
false
Paul,
alarm. That was not Dennis King. It was a false sighting.
Paul said in the next election that the Dennis King government would be wearing any problems in healthcare, and I think he's right on that. I think everybody gave the King government a buy on this one because we know these challenges exist in other jurisdictions as well, but there are particular problems here in P.E.I.
But if they can't do something in this next 4 years, they're going to stink to high water if they don't do something about healthcare. Then they will definitely wear it for the next election.
Well, the system is on the verge of collapse. You know, you look at Prince County Hospital. It didn't hurt the party in Summerside at all, but that hospital, because of the internist issue, may have to shut down.
Oh, that's Matthew McKay. No, I see Matthew McKay reelected. But no, we're still, boy, this is a slow-moving bus tonight. Okay, we're still waiting for Dennis King to enter the room, but there you see re-elected Matthew McKay walking in.
He's very much a showman. I mean, this is why we shouldn't be surprised if there is going to be a bagpiper and things like that, because it has been.
Yeah, I think he'll probably maybe piped in. I'm not sure. I thought that was bagpipes, but I think it's one of our cameras. But a good turnout, obviously, at the Delta tonight. So Dennis King, Premier again. He was at Harmony House. That's where he was last election with friends and family and supporters. And then, last time he didn't have his big bus, but climbed aboard the bus and then making his way to the Delta. So for maybe a more dramatic entrance, I see the doors opening and I keep waiting for him to walk in the room. Nope, not Dennis King yet. So let's talk a little bit more about the dynamic in the legislature now. We have a Liberal opposition, 2 Green elected MLAs, and 22 for the PC. So we're talking again about that collaboration. But could we see collaboration between the Liberals and the Greens now to sort of be a strong... You don't think so?
No, I think, I think one of the more interesting nuances to watch is how 2 West Prince Liberal MLAs work with Gord McNeely, Liberal MLA from Charlottetown. Because when he was looking to run for leadership, there was concern that the West Prince MLAs were so concerned that they might retire or walk away. So this is going to be an issue because Gord McNeely is not going to change the issues that are important to Gord McNeely, and Hal Perry and Rob Henderson aren't going to change the issues that are important to them. So how the Liberal opposition works as a unified front is going to be fascinating because it could be by a hairstring that it hangs together.
The Liberals also made this about kind of unseating the Greens, and while they did take the official opposition status, I think that issue is still not resolved. There is not an obvious government in waiting somewhere down the road for either of these parties. So I think that antagonism kind of exists there. And I think that whole conflict, I think in the end, if anything, it helped Dennis King's PCs, the fact that you had the Liberal leader and the Green leader tied up in their own district trying to win that, putting so many resources into that. It gave the PCs a freer hand to kind of run their campaign as they saw fit.
So what do you think we'll hear when we finally do hear from Dennis King? We're still waiting on him to arrive. But what do you expect to hear in his speech then? Is this a rah-rah, look how great we've done, or is this a look forward, we got some really hard work to do?
Well, we didn't see a whole lot of vision in the Tory platform. I mean...
But was he playing it safe, though, for this election, knowing that
Well, sure he was. I mean, he called a snap election the day after the Canada Games. I mean, there was only one reason to do that, and that's to get a result like we have tonight, because the party didn't want to take the risk.
I think he's finally arrived. The moment has come. Dennis King is in the hallway. We'll see him momentarily here. So we are just waiting for him to get through the crowd. And start making a speech. So sorry, I'll let you. So the bus has arrived, but Carrie. So yeah, what do you expect to hear in his speech then? Do you think it is a more we need to get down to work, or is it?
I think back to the night 4 weeks ago when he called the election. It's very much over the top, and we'd seen bits of that before, but the hyperbole, like no government has ever put more money back in the pockets of Islanders. The first time I heard him say that, it was no government has ever been more transparent than this one. I think it's...
No government has ever done more for rural P.E.I.
Yeah, I'm not a big fan of that style of rhetoric, but I think his takeaway is probably going to be that worked for him here.
Yeah. Well, and we often talk about, you know, the buddy Dennis King, right? Denny King, everybody's friend, and that personality that really helped him get elected last time has probably even helped this time. But I do think there's that low voter turnout, Carrie. We talked about that 68.5%, record low. You feel like people were a bit tapped out after COVID.
I felt this from the beginning, and I think this is also, you know, a small factor that might have made it harder for the other parties to find candidates, to find people willing to take this on, because I think Islanders feel like we've been through a lot because COVID, because the storms, and just everything that's happening in our world right now, everything that's changing. I think I felt from the beginning that we're going to see low turnout here.
Okay, so low turnout, but a big turnout at the Delta to welcome Dennis King there. Our Steve Bruce is at the Delta, Prince Edward Island. So let's go to Steve for a bit of atmosphere there. What's it like in the room? You've been waiting quite a while for him to arrive there, Steve.
Yeah, that's right. And, you know, a number of false starts with some of the re-elected and newly elected MLAs making their way into the room. A big cheer as they came in, but finally it is Premier PC leader Dennis King making his way into the room now. You can see here he's shaking hands with some of the, I would say, 200 or so supporters that are here, members of his campaign team. As I mentioned, some of the other PC candidates and those that were successful tonight. You know, you really got the sense. I've been here for a few hours, and I mean, right from the get-go, folks that were here knew they were here for a celebration. Anyone that you spoke to, you know, what kind of a night are you expecting for the PCs? They said, well, I think if we could win, you know, 21, 22, 23 seats, we'd be happy, but we know we're heading to a majority government. They've got a live band here ready to perform. There's champagne on ice. And as I mentioned, just a lot of people here that were ready for this celebration and are finally getting it, and a chance to congratulate Dennis King and the members of his team on their performance in this election, Louise.
Yeah, and I'm hearing the same song that Unstoppable that he used the night that he launched the campaign. So I guess that's the message tonight. I'm going to call a snap election. I'm not going to wait to the fixed election date. And hey, everyone, I'm unstoppable at 22. So we're waiting.
That's right, and you can see actually his deputy campaign manager just kind of ushering him to the stage right now, trying to get him up there past this, what's turned into a very large crowd right now, trying to get him up to the stage to speak to his supporters.
Yeah, and we were just talking about
a lot of hands to shake.
Yeah, a lot of hands to shake, and a lot of congratulations, obviously, with a majority government with 22 seats. You know, I was going to say Dennis King's on cloud number 9, but I think he's on cloud 22 tonight with this majority government. The Liberals with 3 seats forming the official opposition, and the Green Party with 2. But right now, it really is all about the Premier Dennis King as he makes his way through the crowd of supporters, making his way to the podium with his speech. And what will be in that speech remains to be seen, but I think it will be a lot of, we did it, you know. What's the campaign again? Now I'm forgetting. For the people, with you, for you, with you, for you. Unstoppable. There's a lot of themes going along with the Premier tonight, making his way to that stage as we want to bring that speech to you before we say goodnight to you here on CBC Television, on radio, and online. But he's getting there.
Yeah, well, you know what? give him his due. This will probably be the best night of his political career. Because not often do you build on a majority of 22 in Prince Edward Island.
Yeah, and this would be, I would think, surpasses where they thought they might be. I think I heard around 2021 maybe,
I mean,
but
honestly, people in the party have been talking about for months about the potential for a sweep with the numbers that they saw in the polls.
Not a sweep.
No, and also just, you know, kind of, I guess, factoring in that maybe the Greens and the Liberals might cancel each other out. You know, what we saw was the Liberal incumbents hold on and a couple of Green incumbents. That was the factor for them.
If you said to the Tories, we're going to give you 56%, they would say we'll win 26. You know, Hal would be left standing.
Yeah,
they didn't do that.
Yeah, so last time it was 36.7% popular vote for the PCs. This time it's 56. Green was 30.6, this time 22. Liberals last time was 29.4, this time around 17. The NDP, I think, made a small gain, I believe. Yeah, at 4% there. So there you go, 56, 22, 17, 4, and 1. I mean, that's a solid solid bump.
It's a massive increase, but it's funny how elections happen. I mean, people have gotten far more seats with 56 than the Conservatives did tonight.
Well, the Greens won more of the share, but still couldn't form official opposition.
Honestly, the best night for performance is the Liberals at 17, because they had 3 strong MLAs who got it home. They were close to being wiped out with 17.
Yeah, and that was the big question, right? We didn't know if we would be looking at a one-party government, a 2-party, 3-party, maybe even 4 if Herb Dickinson had maybe been able to.
Yeah.
But
yeah, and I know there was one clip from the Sharon Cameron interview that we had for Compass where she talked about, Islanders have experimented with this third-party thing, and I don't think they want to keep it. And I think that was a legitimate question as to whether we were going to see that maintained through this election. So it's hanging on there.
I mean, a lot of people we've spoken to along the way saying that, having 3 parties in the legislature is it's better for democracy. You have more voices at the table, you have more conversations to be had, and you get more opinions and more ideas.
We first learned that with Herb Dickinson in 1996. He brought issues up that no one else was talking about.
Well, we have an ombudsperson now, which was Herb Dickinson brought that forward 20 plus years ago,
Correct.
right? We finally got one.
Correct.
In this last session.
So we're waiting for Dennis King, as if you're just joining us or just tuning in late. It is a PC majority government on Prince Edward Island tonight. Premier Dennis King re-elected and is making his way through a large crowd of supporters, re-elected members of government, newly elected PC members. So this would be a big moment for Dennis King. I think he's still more hugs.
If there's only 200 people in this room, Dennis King is determined to hug everyone or shake their hand.
I think he is. Well, listen, it's a big night.
It is a big night.
It's a big night for Dennis King and the Progressive Conservatives. I see Jenna Hempel's wife there. And I think most of his family members who were at Harmony House have made their way to the Delta in a arguably comfortable ride. Right? I mean,
they may want to keep the bus.
I never got on the bus. Wayne Thibodeau was on the bus.
Wayne Thibodeau was on the bus.
Yeah.
I heard it was quite nice. They had phones and internet and all sorts. He called it, I believe, his traveling office. He did most of his work from there. And look at there. Finally made it to the stage. I'd like to know how long that took. So there you have Premier Dennis King, another 4 years. Unless he calls an early election. But they're a majority government, 56% of the vote, 22 seats. Let's listen in to Premier Dennis King live tonight.
Wow. Anything exciting going on here tonight in P.E.I. or what? Wow. Oh, not very often I'm speechless, but you might have rendered me speechless here tonight with that welcome. Thanks for being here. Really, from the bottom of my heart, thanks for being here. Good evening, bonjour, quoi, friends, fellow candidates, members of the media, supporters of positive politics, all. Thank you very much for being here tonight. My friends, we should make no mistake that Island voters tonight rendered a verdict, and they rendered it loudly and they rendered it clearly, and that verdict is that positive politics is alive and well in Prince Edward Island. You know, when we set out on this journey over 4 years ago, there was a lot of doubt. There was a lot of doubt when we talked about bringing a new style and a new approach to a political landscape that badly needed it. It was a style where we said we wouldn't sling mud, where we wouldn't sow discord, where we wouldn't ooze negativity, and one where we'd talk about our ideas, our plan, and our team. We did it for 4 years, we did it for 4 weeks, and we did it tonight, and I'm proud to be here with you. You know, I have to tell you, I'm humbled. I'm humbled tonight, and I'm proud. You know, I'm just a kid from a big family in a small town. When I grew up, the Premier didn't come from places like Georgetown royalty, but by God, he comes from Georgetown royalty tonight. You know, I was thinking a lot tonight after 7 o'clock, and really what it boils down to me is that any time Islanders put their confidence in you in the form of being the government, it's a tremendous responsibility. It's a responsibility that we've shouldered through difficult times over the last 4 years, and it's a responsibility that we take very, very seriously. And I promise you this tonight on this stage with my loving family behind me, that we'll continue to conduct ourselves the same way that we've conducted ourselves for these last 4 years, because we put Islanders at the heart of every decision that we make. And you know, that's what I told our candidates when they signed up to run for us in this election, and now that most of them are MLAs, I expect them to follow through. This isn't about trying to serve one party over the other. This is about serving Islanders tip to tip and building the best province that we can build. You know, and I feel in my heart that over 4 years we've done a good job serving Islanders. And tonight, Islanders have rewarded us in the only way that they know how. They have placed their trust in us again, and we will carry that trust with us as a badge of honor and as a badge to do positivity in this province for the next 4 years. And to all Islanders, I say thank you very much. You know, I don't have to tell any of you in this room or anybody watching, but elections are hard. They're exhausting. It's 28 days of working around the clock on minimal sleep, touring from tip to tip, knocking on doors, making announcements, doing interviews, making calls, and so on and so much more. And this isn't easy for candidates. It isn't easy for organizers. It isn't easier for families of candidates either. It's not easy on our campaign teams, but I'll say this. Although we may differ on issues and approaches, nobody, and I mean nobody, gets into politics without a sincere desire to make our province a better place. It takes a tremendous amount of courage to put your name forward, and I want to recognize and thank all of those who participated in the democratic process tonight, and really, really say from the bottom of my heart, even if you didn't get the result you want tonight, that it's very important, and we're very grateful that you were part of the process. So thank you all very much. And you know, on top of being candidates, there are 3 other people in this election who also added the duties of being a party leader, of representing parties across the province and trying to do as much as they could to help their fellow candidates. Peter and I have been through this before, but for Michelle and Sharon, this was the first time for them as party leaders, and it was a great opportunity for me to get to know both of them. I've had the chance to get to see them and talk with them and work with them over the last 4 weeks. And as I say, while we might have had some different approaches and different ideas, I have nothing but respect for them as individuals. Peter's a sincere Islander, and he has a passion for the well-being of Islanders, and he's demonstrated that through his service as an MLA, and he will continue to do that in the next legislature. I was impressed with Sharon's sense of duty and her record of public service as an educator and as a leader, and I was very, very impressed with Michelle, with her hope for the future and her positivity and optimism, and she called me tonight and I told her that she made a great contribution and she has a bigger one to make. So thank you very much. You know, behind every one of the leaders is a team of campaign volunteers who've worked hard to support them, people from all walks of life, from communities large and small, urban and rural, all ages, who gave up their time to support the parties that they believe in. And that is really what makes politics special, and it's what makes politics in P.E.I. special. And I think as Islanders, we all should be proud of that and give everyone a round of applause for what they brought to the table. You know, when I look at our own team here, you know, we embarked on a journey with 4 goals in mind. We wanted to run a positive, professional, province-wide campaign that would grow our seat count. And while you all saw the numbers tonight, you watched the last 28 days, I think it's fair to say the PC campaign team knocked it out of the park. Knocked it out of the park. So to Sydney Gallant and Gail Shea, my unbelievable campaign co-chairs, I say thank you very much. I joked at the beginning of all this that Gail had so much experience that she couldn't say no, and that Sydney was just young enough that she didn't know she was able to say no. But all jokes aside, I couldn't have asked any more from the 2 of them and from the teams that they led. They stayed focused, they didn't blink. And man, oh man, oh man, am I grateful for all that hard work tonight. Thank you so much. To all the candidates on our team and all of their families, tonight is a special night for 22 of us, but 5 of our family members fell short tonight, and it was nothing for their lack of effort or how good of people that they are. They just fell a little bit short. But we'll carry them with us into the next legislature. Our party has always been a family, and those 5 individuals are family members always. I do want to take a second to recognize the people on the stage here tonight. My wife, Jana, who's been part of this journey from the very beginning. It hasn't always made sense to her, and I know that. She often wonders why I don't fight back a little bit when they attack me a little bit. But I'm so blessed to have such support at home. So I want to say, Jana, thank you very much. I love you. Jake's partner, Melissa's not here with us tonight, but I know she's watching somewhere and cheering loudly for us. Jake, Cam, and Cal, they're the people who just make it all worthwhile for me each and every day. I think most days they just like their dad back more than they'd want the Premier for 4 more years. But they're with me every step of the way, and they're my pride and joy, and I love them very much. But tonight we celebrate. We celebrate the hard work of the last 4 years. We celebrate that we ran a professional, positive, and province-wide campaign, and we celebrate that we put forward the strongest campaign team in the history of the Progressive Conservative Party of Prince Edward Island. And when I make my way in here and I see Jen Redmond, I say, way to go, Jen! And when I see Rob Lance, I say, Rob Lance, welcome finally, my friend, welcome. And they're starting to make their way from the west, and I know Hilton McLennan will be here, and I'll say, Hilton, you dug in, you worked hard, my friend, and welcome to the team. And then I see Darlene Compton, and I see Brad Trivers, and I see Corey Deagle, and I see Mark McLean, and I see that team of stalwarts, Natalie Jameson. I see this team of stalwarts who have served Islanders for 4 years. And I offer you nothing but my thanks, my gratitude, and my admiration for the high caliber of people you are, not just the wonderful politicians and leaders that you are in your communities. I want to say to you, thank you, thank you, thank you. Jamie Fox, Matt McKay, Blois Thompson. What do you get, 2,500 votes or something? Can you imagine? I mean, what a team. Robin Croucher up in Surrey with a big, big win. How about Gilles Arsenault? What? How do you think of that win? And somewhere along the way, someone said Ernie Hudson wasn't getting over the line. I don't think that was right. And then we come into the western capital of the Summerside, and we see Barb Ramsey and Tyler Naraj. That's a vote for positivity. That's a vote for growth. That's a vote for Summerside. You know, I'm excited, as you can tell, for this for this election tonight. It was a big, big undertaking for our team. We have a renewed mandate, a renewed team, and I know that brings with it renewed expectations. Over the last 28 days, we talked a lot about the issues and challenges that are facing Islanders, and our 2017 candidates knocked on doors. They talked to tens of thousands of Islanders. They had conversations in their living rooms, in their kitchens, and in the barns. And you know, they want a brighter future here in Prince Edward Island. We recognize that there's work to be done, and we're committed to getting it done. We're going to continue to work on improving access to health care, on lowering the cost of living, building more housing, meeting the realities of climate change, educating the next generation of Islanders, strengthening our economy and broadening our prosperity, and making Prince Edward Island the best place in the world to live, work, and raise a family. We're ready to move this province forward. We're ready to lead and continue to lead with humility and with kindness. We're ready to work day and night to ensure that we have the best days that lie ahead of us. And my friends, we haven't shied away from challenges over the last 4 years, and we're certainly not going to shy away from them for the next 4 years. I've been re-energized by my meetings with folks all across Prince Edward Island, and we're ready to get to work. Tonight we party, tonight we celebrate, but tomorrow we get back to work rebuilding this province and making it the best place to live. So to all of you who are here, all of you who wish you were here, I offer you my deepest and my heartfelt thanks and gratitude for being with me every step of the way through this amazing journey. Somewhere along the way, we became something that Islanders saw themselves in. We've shown that our party continues to be the party of positivity, and as long as I'm standing here as your leader, as your premier, that is what we will bring to this province. So thank you very much. Merci. Well, Lynn.
Premier Dennis King, newly elected Premier Dennis King, taking on a second term as Premier of Prince Edward Island. Big win for him tonight. Majority government, 22 seats for the Progressive Conservatives, the Liberal opposition, and 2 Green Party MLAs elected to the legislature. He's going to be making his way to a camera, I think, to chat with us, hopefully. But let's, in the meantime, quickly zip out to the panel to get their thoughts on what they heard tonight from the speech. Mitch Cormier.
And let's start with Darren Peters. As Darren mentioned, that drive down the Georgetown Road today with Gary Evans to the speech tonight, how much of that was in Premier King's mind for the last number of months? How much of it was straight from the heart?
Oh, look, clearly this is a very special night for Premier King and his family. And I recall former Premier Milligan commenting on the fact that it was a long, long way from a one-room schoolhouse in western Prince Edward Island, and I can assure you while the journey wasn't quite as long from Georgetown, it has a few more bends in the road. So it's a very strong night for Premier King, and clearly he's pleased, but recognizes that tomorrow's a new day and he has to get back to work.
Jordan, what did you think of the Premier's comments?
Well, you know, look, I think the song that sounded like it was playing when he was done, where the boys were running Hardigan all the way to Cardigan, and I think that's Dennis through and through. You know, I think it's a big night for him, as Darren mentioned, and kudos to him. He has run the kind of campaign that I'm sure he wanted to run going into it, and he's won a very convincing majority. The true work starts early tomorrow morning, so I hope he's up to the task, and you know, he's going to have to pick a cabinet. That's going to be very, very tough to do, to be representative, particularly where Charlottetown and Summerside were left on the sidelines previously. And, you know, he's got some massive structural issues that he's got to figure out in the next 4 years. And so hopefully everybody can pull together and get it done.
The days of talking about the distractions of COVID, needing to manage that, needing to manage through Fiona are over, Anna. What does the Premier have to do starting tomorrow morning?
I think he has to get to work on policy. We've got deep challenges in this province, and we need someone who's serious about policy. And I think in this election, I had the words positive politics written down in my notes, and he even before he spoke, and that was what he led with. And I think that's been very clearly his strategy throughout this campaign. We know Atlantic Canadians want that positive politics. The language that he uses is the same sort of language that Peter Bevan Baker used to use when he was at the height of his popularity. And I think voters have gravitated towards that positivity. Now it needs to be backed up with serious policy action on the issues that matter for Islanders.
How quickly will we see that, Darren?
I think we're going to see it day one, quite frankly, because I do believe that Premier King recognizes the responsibility that he has with a mandate of this size to each and every Islander who is looking to him for leadership and for overcoming the challenges that we all do face.
So the work, I guess, Louise, begins tomorrow, but still some time for reflection from our insiders here in the lobby.
Absolutely. Time to celebrate tonight, indeed. And let's just chat a little bit about that. You heard him in the speech there, Dennis King, Premier Dennis King. This is a vote for positivity. But as Anna Keenan said, then you got to get to work. You got to get to the hard work. So it's great that you maybe won on a vote of positivity, but now the hard work begins.
I have no doubt that's what he believed, and that's what he said. Execution with a majority of 22. He rhymed off every elected Tory MLA tonight.
It's his moment. This is his moment.
Look, it's just totally his moment.
Yeah.
Not a ton of humility in that speech. But tomorrow's another day, and we'll see how he starts executing this positive politics in an era when everyone on the Tory side, there's 22 who all want to move forward their agendas.
Yeah, of course they do. Of course they want to. They're politicians.
It'll be more difficult.
Yeah.
It'll be more difficult. When Dennis King started down this road, he was in a minority government. People couldn't fight with him.
All right, we're getting microphones on Dennis King now, so we'll hear from him again in just a moment. But Carrie, what do you think? The positivity movement continues. We didn't hear. I don't think we heard the word collaboration.
I don't think we did, no. But the positivity, and he ran a positive campaign. Yes. And I mean, that helped his campaign, and that helped, I think, shield him because, for instance, the Greens, the Liberals, during the debate, when they probably should have been going after him more, they didn't do it. The words I wrote down were renewed expectations, and it works on day one. Him and his cabinet are all still, there's no swearing in required. They are still the people.
Right.
This election took place 6 months early, and now there's pressing problems that they need to get to work on.
We're going to hear from Dennis King right now. So Premier Dennis King is standing by live from the Delta. Boy, it took you a long time to get to that stage, sir. Congratulations.
Thank you, Louise. A very exciting night for everybody here.
So a vote for positivity, is that really, do you think that's what got you here tonight?
Oh, I think that's exactly what got me here. I think that we've had a very positive approach from the very beginning. We didn't care where good ideas have come from. We've executed very well with a positive agenda. We ran a very positive campaign, and I think you've seen a large number of Islanders have been attracted to that.
So this is your time to celebrate. You said, tonight is the night to party, but tomorrow we get down to work. What does that look like, Premier King?
Well, I think as I outlined in my speech, I know the challenges. Islanders know the challenges, and we have to make sure we continue to work on addressing those challenges, whether they're making it easier for Islanders to access health care or if I can't quite hear you there, Louise. Sorry, I'm getting broken up here, but the cost of living, housing, all the other challenges that we've been working on, we know the work needs to continue, and that's what I mean. It's just important to have a democracy where we have an election, but the work remains, and it's my job now to lead the government again, and I look forward to getting to work.
And still 3 parties in the legislature. Can you hear me okay? I'm just testing to make sure you can hear me. Yeah.
Yeah, it's really hard to hear. I'm sorry, but I can hear you.
Okay. Still 3 parties. There were some, questions about what the legislature, the makeup of the legislature would look like. You've got the Liberal Party now as the official opposition. Last election, it was all about collaboration because it was a minority government at the last election in 2019. So will you be going to the other parties to look for common goals to some of their party policies in terms of healthcare and housing and things like that?
Oh, 100%. I mean, we've been the only government in the history of P.E.I. who sought input from all parties into the budget, into the throne speech, and into the capital budget, and we'll continue to do that. We've influenced decisions so that we can have equal representation at the standing committee level as well, and I expect that to continue. Look, I'm all about collaboration. We don't own the good ideas. I'll go through the other parties' platforms as well and see what's there that we can use to make Islanders, to make life better for Islanders. And my style won't change. It'll be the same style. And I feel I've been the same since I've been here. Minority, majority, whatever it is, and I'll continue to do that.
68.5% voter turnout. I know it's hard to hear me. Just give me the nod if you can hear me, but 68.5% voter turnout, that's a historic low for PEI. Do you have any thoughts on, why that is? What does that tell you?
I haven't had a chance to look at those numbers, to be honest. I think that's still a pretty big number when you look at voter turnout across the country, but I'll have to leave that for the experts like Paul McNeil to muse upon.
Okay, fair. When your head hits the pillow tonight, what's going through your mind? What I'd love to get into your mind to say, like, what are you thinking about?
Look, I'm probably thinking a lot of things. I have a lot of gratitude. I'm very humbled by the result tonight. I'm grateful for the successful candidates who won. I feel a little hurt for the ones who didn't. I know how hard they worked, and I've been on both sides of this business. It sucks when you lose. It's wonderful when you win. And I'll be thinking about where I start tomorrow. We go to work building a new cabinet and getting ready for a legislature session with a speech from the throne and with a budget and getting ready. I'll think about all the work that lies ahead, but I'll have a lot of gratitude in my heart for this wonderful result, and it's pretty special that a young kid from Georgetown royalty would be twice elected the Premier PEI. I'll think a lot about that as well.
All right, Premier Dennis King, congratulations. Go enjoy your evening, and I believe you'll be on Compass tomorrow night, so we'll talk more then. Thanks so much, sir.
Take care, Louise. Bye-bye.
All right, that is Premier Dennis King winning a majority government. He called this election away from the fixed date. It was early, and he did what he set out to do, and that is win a majority government tonight with 22 seats. Let's go to the panel for closing thoughts tonight before we say goodnight. Mitch Cormier in the lobby. Mitch.
Well, and all of our insiders are at least leaving here tonight with a little something to build on, maybe not quite as much as they started the night. Some quick final thoughts. Anna Keenan from the Greens.
I think Paul McNeil was right when he said that the PC platform is lacking in vision and a real plan. It's got a lot of promises, but in my mind, it's not evidence-based and they don't add up. So I am scared of what this result could lead to over the coming years, and we're going to have to keep a very close eye on the King government.
Jordan Brown?
Yeah, it's a big night for the King government, and it is their time to celebrate. And, I think we've said it before, but it's worth saying again. Tomorrow is the time to get to work. Day one this time, not day whatever 365 times 4 is. And, I think that's a message that's going to have to be taken to heart, and he's going to have to work with Islanders and the two parties that make up the opposition in the legislature.
Darren?
Listen, hard work ahead, some challenging issues. Our Premier's demonstrated tonight that he's up for the job. He's excited to get back to work tomorrow, to form a new cabinet and to get back into the legislature. I want to say what an honor it's been to be with my two colleagues here tonight. An absolute pleasure. The professionalism of you, Mitch, and CBC was absolutely outstanding, and it makes me very proud to be an Islander.
Well, and we appreciate your insight and your thoughts, your measured thoughts. You're a bit partisan, as they say, but I think you're also willing to take a step back and look at the challenges and the successes of all your parties. So thanks so much for joining us. Anna Keenan, Jordan Brown, and Darren Peters, our Insiders panel here tonight with Louise.
A collaborative panel at that, Mitch Cormier. And you know what? A huge thank you to you for staying up so bloody late, because you have to get up very early tomorrow, and I know you'll be speaking to some of the party leaders tomorrow morning on Island Morning. What time does that alarm go off, Mitch?
I will be on the air at 5 to 6. I know that for sure. I'm not sure when the alarm will go off. Yes, we'll be hearing from some of the party leaders, and I know we're also going to talk, with one of those Liberals. Gord McNeely is going to be joining us as well, not only to talk about his victory, but his efforts to bring diversity, and certainly we saw that in the candidates running tonight.
I'm sure we could get a sleeping bag for you. You could just sleep on the floor there, Mitch. All right, thanks again. And thank you to our insider panel. That was a great conversation. I really loved having their insights out there in the lobby and Mitch being there. And I really loved having you two here with me. I know Sweta Dabu was supposed to be part of our coverage tonight. She lost her voice, but I know she was with us in spirit for sure, and I know she's watching. So thanks for your hard work helping us with some of this, Sweta. So let's get your final thoughts on tonight's election.
Well, since the Premier sort of penciled me in on he mentioned speech from the throne and he mentioned a budget. And I think the Tories would be honest that their platform lacked vision and boldness. And this province needs vision and boldness. And if the Premier's sincere and he wants to do politics differently, then he should have two opposition parties to support that thing, especially as we look at solutions for healthcare.
Well, he did say there when we were chatting with him that he is definitely open to collaboration with the other parties and still listening to them and getting ideas. Do you think that will come to fruition, Kerry?
I would expect so, but I also expect, because the issues that are ongoing are such critical ones, and the Islanders just re-elected a sitting government, so there should be an advantage in that for PEI, in that there should be plans already in place to deal with some of these issues in terms of healthcare and housing, et cetera, and they should be faster in rolling those out. I know there is a new platform and there are other parties and there will be new cabinet ministers to bring up to speed. But my hope is that this government is able to get a head start on everything, as opposed to if there had been some significant change, that maybe the budget is far along and we can just kind of skip to the hard work here.
We just have less than a minute before we have to say goodnight. Just your quick thoughts. Get off your phone, Paul. Quick thoughts before we say goodnight on who might be new cabinet ministers, who might be new fresh faces we might see in the mix.
Barb Ramsey in Summerside, for sure. Rob Lance, for sure. I think it's going to be interesting to see who he drops.
Okay, 30 seconds, Kerry.
Paul took mine. So it's not fair. But
well, think of something original, Kerry. Come on.
Well, the PCs, what Paul says is true, though, too, because the PCs have so been heavy up east in terms of where their cabinet ministers come from. So he's going to have to shed some of those people now. You can only have 10 people in a cabinet.
So he could put a Jamie Foxx or a Compton as speaker, potentially, if he wants to.
Okay.
Free up space.
All right. Listen, thank you to you both.
Pleasure.
Thank you for being here tonight. What an election, what a ride. I couldn't have done it without you. Thank you so much. I could not have done this without our team in the control room. Huge thanks to them and the election team that have flown into PEI to help cover this, to our reporters on the ground, to our listeners on radio, to you, our viewers at home. This election is about you. This is your vote. These are your results. 22 for the PCs, 3 for the Liberals, 2 for the Greens. I hope you enjoyed our election night coverage. PEI Votes 2023. Good night, PEI.